Issue is law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, government, or national security. Brannon brings the issues of the day into clear focus through the lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon Howse.
And welcome to the broadcast on this April 1st, 2026. Has anyone played an April Fool's joke on you today? No one did to me today. I tried playing one on someone early yesterday, but they didn't fall for it. I called Logan's girlfriend and said, honey, I got bad news. Logan, we're on our way to the hospital. Logan's been in a car crash. She didn't buy it. She said, I was just talking to him on the other line. Didn't work. She actually had to hang up talking to him to take your call. So there you go. She got me 2 years ago. I've never been able to get her back, but I'm still trying. Apparently, she just told somebody in the control room that, don't worry, April 1st is not over yet. So I don't know. Apparently, she thinks she can pull something off between now and midnight, but good luck with that. Let's see. We're going to be joined by Annie Cyrus. We're gonna find out what Annie thinks about what President Trump is going to say tonight from, well, I was going to say an Oval Office address, but I don't know. Maybe he's going to give this speech in the old East Room. I don't know. Wherever he gives a speech tonight from the White House, we're covering it. We're going to carry it live. And we're going to get a report from our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aharon Levarko. We couldn't get a hold of him today for a while. Few hours made us quite nervous because it was raining down from two different directions in Israel today, and we were worried about him. But apparently he was underground in a bunker celebrating Passover with no cell coverage. He finally came up from underground. I don't know. Did he see his shadow or not? I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a longer winter. Wait a minute. I'm confusing that with the groundhog that comes up out of the ground and sees his shadow. But he is fine. He contacted us, and he's going to be on the broadcast tonight. And then we pre-recorded an interview with Jason Pratt. He is a literal rocket scientist. He's been all over Cape Canaveral. He knows all those launch pads. He's been there. And a Navy pilot, naval intelligence officer as well, used to work at the National Reconnaissance Organization. They put up satellites and then sent a lot of that data to the different 17, 18 different intelligence agencies. He's now working in the defense contracting field, and he will be with us tonight because I pre-recorded an interview with him because he has church duties tonight and couldn't be with us during the broadcast. So I said, well, let's just record because we can talk about all kinds of things related to the launch, because it's all going to be facts and science and history. So we'll just do that. So we recorded it this afternoon about 30 minutes before the launch actually went off, about 40 minutes, because they had to put a hold on the launch at about, what would be L minus, now T minus 10. But it did launch, as you know. But we'll be bringing you a very interesting interview with him about the space program, where it has gone, where it is going, including data centers on the moon. No joke. We'll talk about it. And now launching beyond the moon to Mars. Well, did you see the launch? It was a sight to behold. Artemis 2 lifting off today. And it is going to make a trip around the moon. It's a 10-day mission. It's a 10-day mission. And you're going to hear in my interview tonight with Jason Pratt, he knows 2 of the 4 that are on that spacecraft. One of them, I think, is the commander, and he flew with him. He flew with him in a fighter jet in the back seat, his co-pilot. So he knows these people, 2 of these people. He knows them personally, and he's going to talk about them and what they're all about and what this mission is all about. So that should be very interesting. All right, so we got a full night tonight. Tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, Truth Social. Whatever you got, let folks know we're on. President Trump's going to talk tonight. What do you guys think he's going to talk about? Well, we already know what he's going to talk about a little bit. He already told us earlier in the day what he's going to talk about. Here we go.
And tonight I'm making a little speech at 9 o'clock. And basically I'm going to tell everybody how great I am. What a great job I've done. What a phenomenal job. What a phenomenal job I've done. But seriously, if you didn't have me, if you had some different type of a president, you wouldn't have Israel. I know you're big Israel fans. Frankly,
you wouldn't have Israel. He didn't finish that sentence. I think he got off track because Israel's not going anywhere. I got word for the president. Israel's not going anywhere. They're mentioned in the Bible. We are not as a nation, but they are going to be here through the duration and into the millennial kingdom. So just so you know, President Trump, Israel is not going anywhere regardless of who the president is. Although they could certainly have a president that would turn on them. And apparently at some point we will have a president that will do that. I don't think that's going to be Donald Trump, but we will have a president that will turn on him because it says in the Bible that all the nations of the world turn against Israel. So what is he going to say tonight? I don't know. I said to my wife when she asked me over dinner, what is he going to say? I said, does it really matter? Because it'll change tomorrow. Now, I'm not trying to be anti-Trump or negative here, but it just seems to keep changing. So I don't really know what he will say, but we'll have to see if it lines up with what's said tomorrow and the next day. It's a very fluid situation. Let's put it that way. It's a very fluid situation. Let's see here. What else is in the news? Anything else I need to show real quick? Let's see here. Oh, I think this is very good news. Hey, we like to be balanced here. President Trump did something pretty good, no doubt about it. Very good. He signed an executive order. Here it is. Here we go.
So with all of that, I'm very happy to be signing the voter integrity, and I think it's going to be really great. So if you don't mind, I will take some time and I'll make this signature absolutely perfect. So it looks very good. So far, so good. Okay, so that's a big deal. Very proud of it. And I don't know how it can be challenged. You'll probably challenge it. You may find a rogue judge. You get a lot of rogue judges, very bad people, very bad judges. But that's the only way that can be changed. And hopefully we'll win an appeal if it is. But I don't see how anybody can challenge it. I don't see how they can challenge it. And remember, it's about voter integrity. We want to have honest voting in our country, because if you don't have honest voting, you can't have really a nation, if you want to know the truth. Howard, I'll give that to you.
So that is a very important executive order. You know, some nut job group is going to sue on it, like the American Civil Liberties Union, which, let's remember, was started by a communist by the name of Roger Baldwin. Oh, along with John Dewey. John Dewey helped him do that too. John Dewey, the father of modern education, who signed the Humanist Manifesto and was a real left-winger, no doubt about it. So that is the ACLU. But he signed that ordering curbing mail-in ballot fraud, executive order to curb that, requiring Homeland Security to prepare a list of citizens eligible to vote in each state and require the Postal Service to send absentee ballots to voters on the list and mandate that those ballots have envelopes and barcodes for tracking. Thank you, Mr. President, for doing that. That is absolutely important. Let's see. Anything else in the news before we go? Let's see. Oh, apparently Hezbollah has released a video of them firing rockets from Lebanon. And apparently they showed they were doing this in civilian infrastructure. Well, we've been trying to tell people that for a while. Look at this.
يلا بصوا صار الساحل بعيروا فيه قالوا كسن زون وينك؟ عيد عيد شو ولد؟ قول يا رب يا اخي يلا الشهيد القائد وليه فادي اثنين ولك أنا هي أول تجربة لي إذا نقصت واحد يشيلوني
Well, there you go. Hezbollah, that's Iran, firing rockets from Lebanon into Israel. All right, what else do we got here? Let's see. Anything else before we go to Annie? Oh, yes, we did have some footage coming out of Israel today. A lot of people. In fact, Aaron, again, spent most of the day in a bunker. That's how bad it is over there. Here was some footage. People stopping on the interstates, of course, as they do, getting down. Can you imagine living like that, hours and hours and hours a day? But that's what they deal with. But somehow Israel's the problem. Somehow Israel's the problem. That's what we're told, but that's wrong. Anyway, joining me now is Annie Cyrus. She's the author of a brand new book. Let me grab my copy right here. Brand new book, The Architecture of Jihad. Annie Cyrus joins us. Annie, welcome back to the broadcast. The president should be speaking in about 22 minutes. Ooh, I like the yellow cross tonight. There you go. Last night or the night before, you had on a red heart. Now you have on a blue cross.
Thank you for having me back,
You're
Brannon.
welcome.
And thank you. Yes, this is my second favorite handmade resin cross necklace that I have made for myself.
Yeah, she makes them herself, by the way, folks. Live up, what is it? LUTF LUTFstudio.com. She makes all of that herself, and you can order them. All right, so what is... Now, don't start laughing yet. We haven't even asked the first question yet, Annie. Come on. What do you think President Trump is going to say tonight? And as I said earlier, will it really matter within less than 24 hours? Will it even matter by tomorrow morning? Because we keep getting so much flip-flopping going on, kind of like a guppy.
You're being generous. I have my pen, and I'm going to make a mark on my palm every time he contradicts himself within that very speech.
Oh, you think he's going to contradict himself within the speech?
He did it yesterday. That's the thing. And then on my right hand, I'm going to put a line every time he tries to push the new narrative. The new regime in Iran, the new regime in Iran, the new regime in Iran, because that's what we're pushing now, right?
Okay, now that is true. That is what we have heard. We have heard that he's talking to a new leader and it's a new regime, but it's not. It's just someone they've killed all the way down to the totem pole like we predicted a week ago, and now this is their new guy.
Well, but that's, I don't think he's even talking about that. I think the Truth Social post this morning, which again contradicted itself. The guy should have it on email. We pulled it up on my show today, but he literally says Iran's new regime's president. Like, it's not just a new regime. He has assigned positions to them. Like, the new regime apparently has a president now, has a foreign minister. I shouldn't laugh. I cannot not laugh. Look at that. Iran's new regime president, much less radicalized and far more intelligent. It's like, I'm not laughing. There is not just about a regime. I don't think he's referring to what Iran is considering the replacement of Khamenei. He really thinks that whomever he's talking to, which we talked about Musabi, and that's where I'm like, I'm a spot on president. candidate, Mousavi, was trying to be the president because he strongly believed if anybody can reform the constitution is the president of the country, not the clerics. But no, I think
just to bring up the audience to speed, there was a guy in 2009 running, I think, the Green Party, right?
Well, he was running the Reform Party, but his color was green because supposedly his bloodline goes back all the way to Muhammad. Nobody can prove it.
So he was running the Reform
it.
Party in 2009. People were in the streets for him. He was considered kind of a reformer, and then they put him under house arrest. He was actually mentored and trained by the original Ayatollah, right? And
absolutely.
And they put him under house arrest, kind of like they put him on ice in case they needed a backup man, and push him out there as though, hey, the regime says we need someone that looks like a reformer from typecasting. Hey, we have a guy. So they called up the Iranian typecasting department in the government and said, who could look like a reformer? Well, don't you remember we put that guy, Mousavi, on ice a few years ago, house arrest, just for this purpose, to have him ready to go, push him out as, quote, the reformer. And
here's the good news. He can buy his own Armani suit. He doesn't need Saudi Arabia to buy one for him like al-Shara.
He's pretty wealthy, is he?
He's more wealthy than Ahmadinejad.
Which is the former president of Iran.
Which is the president that stole the election from Mousavi, yes.
Oh, you think he stole it from him?
Oh, we know for a fact he stole it. Here's the thing. Iranian, like when you watch for first time ever, millions of Iranians on the streets asking, where is my vote? You know this was a real election fraud because Iranians don't care. Like, they don't vote. They don't care. They know it's all set up. But during Mousavi candidacy, a lot of Iranians, especially would have been my generation, much younger back then, college students, university students, young people, they voted for him. They went in there, they took their birth certificate, their fingerprint. There were thousands of pictures coming out, people showing their birth certificate. By the way, in Iran, you think ID is a problem here. But in Iran, when you go to vote, you take your birth certificate. And then when you vote, they actually take your fingerprint, actual older school ink, and put it on the last page of voting page of your birth certificate. That's the only way you can prove you voted. They were showing, so we know for a fact it was a stolen. Yes, because other than that year, Iranians never even blinked. They don't show up to vote. And that's where the whole twist comes to picture is everybody knows this was the first and last time Iranians cared for election result. Enough to show in millions and then die on the streets. Iranians died on the streets those days for their vote. That's why now they think Mousavi can be that good-looking guy. If Trump calls him a good-looking guy, I'm done, by the way, because he's not a good-looking guy. But anyhow,
we are getting word that tonight's speech may be warning the American people that boots on the ground may be necessary to take the island of Karg, as we say here in America. I know you say it differently, and to round up any of the enriched uranium. Boots on the ground. I'm not for that. I am not for that. I don't know. I'm not read in on intelligence briefings, but everything we've discussed here, other people, this could be, I mean, it may not be. Maybe President Trump will pull it off flawlessly with very limited loss of life. Any loss of life would be tragic. But maybe he'll pull it off with limited loss of life and go down as a major military strategist and leader. I don't know. But it could also go the other way and be very, very, very bad. And I know there's a lot of people that are very nervous right now. A lot of people. Because they feel like Trump's being led into a trap.
You know where I stand. Off air, I have gave you my very unfiltered opinion on this move. Let me put on some filter. It's a bad idea in so many ways. And even for those Americans who are like, yay, we're going to control the oil and it's so much good for our economy. Number one, remember, I don't want to sound like the few handful of people who were on the streets last Saturday, but did America really become the country that just goes and takes whatever they can? Did we push IRGC to Stone Ages, or we went back to Stone Ages to where if we can, we take it? I mean, with Venezuela, you all had excuse for what we did. I don't. I still say we removed Maduro, gave the power to a worse than Maduro because they were giving us oil. I still disagree with that. Now, as an Iranian, well, I can write a book about this, and trust me, if that ends up being the case, I will write a book. But as I said on my show with Barry Nussbaum today, taking that island is not as easy as everybody's making it. Unless the announcement is, I made a deal with the new regime. They're giving me island of Karg. Is that how we say it here, Karg?
Yep, Karg.
Then that's where many Americans are going to clap and take it as victory. But I will remind you again, the new regime that might have made that deal with Trump is not the regime he thinks. But if there's any shape or form of sending our boots on the ground, our Marines inside either the island or inside Iran, there is nothing to celebrate here. From my American side, Iranian side, Christian side, there's nothing to celebrate here. Though they left the door open, never said what the objective is, or better yet, they kept switching their objective. This is not what, at least this is not the America I came to. It's not. I never thought we're going to get our soldiers killed to take control of oil, whatever that amount is. But again,
isn't it also about getting that Strait of Hormuz for the international
trade?
Yeah, well, IMEC, which stands for the Indian Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, IMEC.
Yes.
All right, we're being told now that President Trump's a little behind schedule. Is that right, guys?
No kidding.
Huh.
So he's going to start 15 minutes late? I would have never thought.
He's going to start in about 8 minutes, I'm told. 8 minutes. All right. Well, why don't we, in the meantime, you guys have any questions for us? Why don't you email in your questions for Annie? Instead of opening the phone lines tonight, we'll let you email in your questions. Would you put my email up there, boys? Brannon, Brannon. Notice there's no D in there. Brannon at worldviewtube.com. Worldviewtube.com. What are your thoughts? Worldviewtube.com. Brannon at worldviewtube.com. Email in your questions. We'll ask Annie some of your questions tonight. I'm sure they're in there typing right now, right? Yep. They'll get it up there. Brannon at worldviewtube.com. Hey, before we go there, stand by, Annie. Before we go there, remember, I haven't done anything to plug anything tonight, but we have to bring in about 40,000 plus a month to keep this network going. Would you consider going to worldviewfoundation.com and setting up even a $10, $15, $20, $25 a month contribution? We are seeing people do this. I've been on a big campaign. I don't know. I might stick on this campaign a long time because it's actually working. Because what happens is this. We get emails from people that say, I love what you guys are doing. Thank you so much. I can't afford to support you more than $10 a month. And I know that really is not going to make a difference. So I'm not going to mess with it. But I do want to let you know, I do appreciate what you're doing. And I watch all the time. Oh, we email back and say, whoa. Whoever told you that $10 a month doesn't make a difference? Well, you mean you got to bring in $40,000 a month. What's $10 a month? Yeah, but if all of our small dollar donors, which is the bulk of our donors, stop giving, we'd be in big trouble. Most of our donors are small dollar donors. Most of our donors are $10, $20, $25 to $50 a month. That's it. Now, do we have people that give more than that? Yes, thankfully, to make up for those who can't give. Because there are single moms, there are seniors on a fixed income, there are people that lost their job, have health crisis, their medical bills, whatever it might be. And they can't give. And so thankfully, there are people that do give above that. Some folks are, well, all folks are generous regardless. That's not equal gift, equal sacrifice. And so those who say, well, I would give 10, 20 bucks a month, but I just figure it's not worth it. That's wrong. And so when I've been on this little campaign now to generate more donors at 10, 20 bucks a month, we're actually seeing it work. So that confirms there are people sitting out there thinking that their 10, 20 bucks a month wouldn't matter, so they didn't do it. They could afford to do it, but they didn't because they didn't think it would really matter. Well, it adds up, and it adds up fast. It really does. So please consider going to worldviewfoundation.com, setting up your contribution. I've already taken, how many Bella Graces have I had today? I know I've had at least one, maybe. Melissa, you want to bring me another one? I know I've taken at least one, but I may have already taken two today. I don't know, but I'll gladly take another. That's another great way you can support us. If you go to worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors, and gotta spell it right. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Please go there. Why can't I type tonight? worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Okay. And check out Bella Grace. We take the elixir. I take the elixir, as you just heard me say, every day. 3 powerful ingredients in that elixir. If you go to worldviewtube.com/sponsors, you'll find all these great products. There's Melissa House BG, Bella Grace. My wife's the one that brought this to us. We started promoting it and started taking it December of 2023. I did. Great results, great response. We don't want to miss a day because it does work. Over 100 clinical trials behind this with 3 powerful ingredients, a collagen where the peptides are cut short so your body actually absorbs it. By the way, babe, why don't you also bring my needle? I got to give myself a shot in the stomach. Speaking of peptides, I'm giving myself, thanks to Dr. Bashima, I'm giving myself BPC 157 to decrease the inflammation, to get C6 and C7 that's herniated in the neck down, the inflammation down. And a lot of you are emailing, and you're also researching this as well, this BPC 157. And some of you are emailing saying, I'm so happy that he's on that because I've already done the research on that, and I think it's going to make a big difference. Dr. Lana was telling Melissa that the other day. I'm so happy he's on that because that is a good product. That's not an endorsement of every peptide out there, but that one is. We've checked that one out. So we're on that one. But the Bella Grace has an anti-inflammatory in it. Thank you, babe. The Bella Grace has an anti-inflammatory in it as well. What's that, babe? Oh, yeah, I'll do that. This has natural anti-inflammatory in it. That's the cat's claw. So you get the collagen, the cat's claw, and then the astaxanthin that crosses the brain-blood barrier. So check that out, melissahouseBG.com. Something else we do every day real quickly, and then I'm going to go back to Annie. Numi. This, you swish with this for 3 minutes, and you get glutathione in your system within 90 seconds. Glutathione's already in your body. It starts decreasing around the age 20. You die without glutathione. But you want to boost your glutathione because it detoxes your cells. And we all come in contact with toxins no matter how much we try to avoid them. And some studies show that glutathione may help remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. And there are 165,000 studies on glutathione. So I love the stuff we promote and take, like Bella Grace, Numi, Gatatana. They all have clinical trials, every one of them. And I do those 3 things every day. Numi, Gatatana, Bella Grace. I just have my Gatatana with my dinner. I have it every night with my dinner. That is the Gatatana, that's the phytoplankton. Dolly gets a half a scoop on her food every day. Okay? That's that phytoplankton that nourishes you down to the mitochondria. We have a square for it somewhere. Nourishes you down to the, there it is, down to the mitochondria, your cells, and boost your own immune system to fight off all the dangerous stuff. Remember the guy that came up with this was given a terminal diagnosis? He started eating the phytoplankton he was raising for his crayfish. And then next thing you know, all of his cancer is benign. And he went on to live another 10 years. There you go. All right, where are we at with President Trump tonight, guys? All right, it's about to start soon. In the meantime, I have a quick a question from Joe Fleming. He's a regular. How can you say the strait is closed if Russia and Chinese ships can get through? All that does is allow inflation mongers to jack oil prices, making oil companies richer and not fixing the problem. Instead of Trump bombing Iranian power plants, the Iranian people need, which also he scolded Netanyahu for doing, Stop or seize the ships instead. Also, Trump says we don't need their oil because we produce our own. So why does stopping their oil raise our oil prices? Well, I think Putin is loving this because it is, as you say, Joe, raising the oil prices, which is helping him get back some money he spent fighting the war in Ukraine. Quick comment. I may have to cut you off if President Trump appears. Go ahead, Annie.
Agreed. And don't forget, we did temporarily approve Russia selling oil during this whole thing. And it's not closed. The Strait of Hormuz is not closed. It is open to everyone except the list that IRGC has provided. So it's not fully closed. It's to certain countries and certain ships or tankers, whatever we call them. But it's not fully closed. I've been saying it. They don't have the manpower to close it. There's no Navy.
Lucy in Tennessee, dear supporter of ours, wants to know, would the prince from Iran who lives in the USA go to speak to Trump, President Trump? Has President Trump even spoken to him, Lucy?
Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi has tried to reach President Trump for a sit-down since January 20th, 2025. It's documented on social media, his official letter request of sit-down. Since then, he has been trying, and the only answer indirectly he has received from Trump was as followed. He seems like a good guy. It is inappropriate as president to sit down with him right now. We're just going to have to let people do their thing and see who comes on top from inside. The other comment was he seems like a good guy, but doesn't look like he has the popularity it takes to be a leader. So indirectly, President Trump doesn't see Prince Pahlavi a fit to sit down with yet. But yes, Prince Pahlavi has reached out directly, indirectly, publicly, phone calls, invitations, red carpets. And I think Crown Prince Pahlavi also have come to realize that.
Excellent. All right. President Trump is beginning to speak. Let's go to that feed here. I'm waiting. I don't see it, guys.
Mute me, guys.
Mute her. Logan, guys, do you see it? Look what I'm looking at. You see it? Oh, there it is. All right, here we go, guys.
Home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing. They are on the way, and God bless them. These are brave people. We want to God bless those 4 unbelievable astronauts. As we speak this evening, it's been just 1 month since the United States military began Operation Epic Fury, targeting the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran. In these past 4 weeks, our armed forces have delivered swift, decisive, overwhelming victories on the battlefield. Victories like few people have ever seen before. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone. Their Air Force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them terrorist regime they led, are now dead. Their command and control of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is being decimated as we speak. Their ability to launch missiles and drones is dramatically curtailed, and their weapons, factories, and rocket launchers are being blown to pieces. Very few of them left. Never in the history of warfare has an enemy suffered such clear and devastating large-scale losses in a matter of weeks. Our enemies are losing, in America, as it has been for 5 years under my presidency, is winning, and now winning bigger than ever before. Before discussing this current situation, I also want to thank our troops for the masterful job they did in taking the country of Venezuela in a matter of minutes. That hit was quick, lethal, violent, and respected by everyone all over the world. After rebuilding our military during my first term, we have by far the strongest military anywhere in the world. And now we're working along with Venezuela and are, in a true sense, joint venture partners. We're getting along incredibly well in the production and sale of massive amounts of oil and gas, the second largest reserves on Earth after the United States of America. We're now totally independent of the Middle East, and yet we are there to help We don't have to be there. We don't need their oil. We don't need anything they have, but we're there to help our allies. Tonight, I want to provide an update on the tremendous progress our warriors have made in Iran and discuss why Operation Epic Fury is necessary for the safety of America and the security of the free world. From the very first day I announced my campaign for president in 2015, I have vowed that I would never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. This fanatical regime has been chanting death to America, death to Israel for 47 years. Their proxies were behind the murder of 241 Americans in the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut, the slaughter of hundreds of our service members with roadside bombs. They were involved in the attack on the USS Cole, and they carried out the countless other heinous acts, including the just horrible, bloody atrocities of October 7th in Israel, something that most people have never seen anything like it. This murderous regime also recently killed 45,000 of their own people who were protesting in Iran. 45,000 dead. For these terrorists to have nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat. The most violent and thuggish regime on earth would be free to carry out their campaigns of terror, coercion, conquest, and mass murder from behind a nuclear shield. I will never let that happen, and neither should any of our past presidents. This situation has been going on for 47 years and should have been handled long before I arrived in office. I did many things during my 2 terms in office to stop the quest for nuclear weapons by Iran first, and perhaps most importantly, I killed General Qasem Soleimani in my first term. He was an evil genius, brilliant person, a horrible human being, however, the father of the roadside bomb, and he lived just horrible what he did. Iran would have been perhaps in far better, stronger position. He lived, we would have had probably a different conversation tonight. But you know what? We'd still be winning and winning big. And then very importantly, I terminated Barack Hussein Obama's Iran nuclear deal, a disaster. Obama gave them $1.7 billion in cash, green cash, took it out of banks from Virginia, D.C., and Maryland, all the cash they had. He flew it by airplanes in an attempt to buy their respect and loyalty, but it didn't work. They laughed at our president and went on with their mission to have a nuclear bomb. His Iran deal would have led to a colossal arsenal of massive nuclear weapons for Iran, and they would have had them years ago, and they would have used them. It would have been a different world. There would have been no Middle East and no Israel right now, in my opinion, the opinion of a lot of great experts, had I not terminated that terrible deal. I was so honored to do it. I was so proud to do it. It was so bad right from the beginning. Essentially, I did what no other president was willing to do. They made mistakes, and I am correcting them. My first preference was always the path of diplomacy, yet the regime continued their relentless quest for nuclear weapons and rejected every attempt at an agreement. For this reason, in June, I ordered a strike on Iran's key nuclear facilities, an Operation Midnight Hammer. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Those beautiful B-2 bombers performed magnificently. We totally obliterated those nuclear sites. The regime then sought to rebuild their nuclear program at a totally different location, making clear they had no intention of abandoning their pursuit of nuclear weapons. They were also rapidly building a vast stockpile of conventional ballistic missiles and would soon have had missiles that could reach the American homeland, Europe, and virtually any other place on Earth. Iran's strategy was so obvious. They wanted to produce as many missiles as possible, and they did, with the longest range possible, and they had some weapons that nobody believed they had. We just learned that out. We took them out, we took them all out so that no one would really dare stop them. and their race for a nuclear bomb, a nuclear weapon like nobody's ever seen before. They were right at the doorstep. For years, everyone has said that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons, but in the end, those are just words if you're not willing to take action when the time comes. As I stated in my announcement of Operation Epic Fury, our objectives are very simple and clear. We are systematically dismantling the regime's ability to threaten America or project power outside of their borders. That means eliminating Iran's Navy, which is now absolutely destroyed, hurting their Air Force and their missile program at levels never seen before, and annihilating their defense industrial base. We've done all of it. Their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their missiles are just about used up or beaten. Taken together, these actions will cripple Iran military, crush their ability to support terrorist proxies, and deny them the ability to build a nuclear bomb. Our armed forces have been extraordinary. There's never been anything like it militarily. Everyone is talking about it, and tonight I'm pleased to say that these core strategic objectives are nearing completion. As we celebrate this progress, we think especially of the 13 American warriors who have laid down their lives in this fight to prevent our children from ever having to face a nuclear Iran. Twice this past month, I've traveled to Dover Air Force Base, and it's been something. I wanted to be with those heroes as they return to American soil, and I was with them and their families, their parents, their wives, their husbands. We salute them, and now we must honor them by completing the mission for which they gave their lives. And every single one of the people, their loved ones said, "Please, sir, please finish the job," every one of them. And we are going to finish the job, and we're going to finish it very fast. We're getting very close. I want to thank our allies in the Middle East, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain. They've been great, and we will not let them get hurt or fail in any way, shape, or form. Many Americans have been concerned to see the recent rise in gasoline prices here at home. This short-term increase has been entirely the result of the Iranian regime launching deranged terror attacks against commercial oil tankers in neighboring countries that have nothing to do with the conflict. This is yet more proof that Iran can never be trusted with nuclear weapons. They will use them, and they will use them quickly. It would lead to decades of extortion, economic pain, and instability worse than we can ever imagine. The United States has never been better prepared economically to confront this threat. You all know that. We built the strongest economy in history. We're going through it right now, the strongest in history. In 1 year, we've taken a dead and crippled country. I hate to say that, but we were a dead and crippled country after the last administration and made it the hottest country anywhere in the world by far, with no inflation, record-setting investments coming into the United States, over $18 trillion, and the highest stock market ever, with 53 all-time record highs in just 1 year. It all positioned us to get rid of a cancer that has long simmered. It's known as the nuclear Iran, and they didn't know what was coming. They've never imagined it. Remember, because of our Drill Baby Drill program, America has plenty of gas. We have so much gas. Under my leadership, we are #1 producer of oil and gas on the planet, without even discussing the millions of barrels that we're getting from Venezuela. Because of the Trump administration's policies, we produce more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. Think of that, Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. And that number will soon be substantially higher than that. There's no country like us anywhere in the world, and we're in great shape for the future. The United States imports almost no oil through the Hormuz Strait, and won't be taking any in the future. We don't need it. We haven't needed it, and we don't need it. We've beaten and completely decimated Iran. They are decimated. both militarily and economically and in every other way. And the countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. They must cherish it. They must grab it and cherish it. They can do it easily. We will be helpful, but they should take the lead in protecting the oil that they so desperately depend on. So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number one, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before. Should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the Strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done, so it should be easy. And in any event, when this conflict is over, the Strait will open up naturally. It'll just open up naturally. They're going to want to be able to sell oil because that's all they have to try and rebuild. It will resume the flowing, and the gas prices will rapidly come back down. Stock prices will rapidly go back up. They haven't come down very much, frankly. They came down a little bit, but they've had some very good days over the last couple of days. We've done actually much better than I thought, but we had to take that little journey to Iran to get rid of this horrible threat. With our historic tax cuts, where people are just now talking about receiving larger refunds than they ever thought possible, they are getting so much more money than they thought. That's from the great big beautiful bill. Our economy is strong and improving by the day, and it will soon be roaring back like never before. It will top the levels that it was a month ago. I've made clear from the beginning of Operation Epic Fury that we will continue until our objectives are fully achieved. Thanks to the progress we've made, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. In the meantime, discussions are ongoing. Regime change was not our goal. We never said regime change, but regime change has occurred because of all of their original leaders' death. They're all dead. The new group is less radical and much more reasonable. Yet if during this period of time no deal is made, we have our eyes on key targets. If there is no deal, we are going to hit each and every one of their electric generating plants very hard and probably simultaneously. We have not hit their oil, even though that's the easiest target of all, because it would not give them even a small chance of survival or rebuilding. But we could hit it, and it would be gone, and there's not a thing they could do about it. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. We are unstoppable as a military force. The nuclear sites that we obliterated with the B-2 bombers have been hit so hard that it would take months to get near the nuclear dust, and we have it under intense satellite surveillance and control. If we see them make a move, even a move for it, we'll hit them with missiles very hard again. We have all the cards, they have none. It's very important that we keep this conflict in perspective. American involvement in World War I lasted 1 year, 7 months, and 5 days. World War II lasted for 3 years, 8 months, and 25 days. The Korean War lasted for 3 years, 1 month, and 2 days. The Vietnam War lasted for 19 years, 5 months, and 29 days. Iraq went on for 8 years, 8 months, and 28 days. We are in this military operation, so powerful, so brilliant, against one of the most powerful countries for 32 days. And the country has been eviscerated and essentially is really no longer a threat. They were the bully of the Middle East, but they're the bully no longer. This is a true investment in your children and your grandchildren's future. The whole world is watching, and they can't leave the power, strength, and brilliance. They just can't believe what they're seeing. They Leave it to your imagination, but they can't believe what they're seeing, the brilliance of the United States military. Tonight, every American can look forward to a day when we are finally free from the wickedness of Iranian aggression and the specter of nuclear blackmail. Because of the actions we have taken, we are on the cusp of ending Iran's sinister threat to America and the world. And I'll tell you, the world is watching. And when we do, when it's all over, the United States will be safer, stronger, more prosperous, and greater than it has ever been before. May God bless the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much, and good night.
You hear anything in there about troops on the ground or boots on the ground? Because I was taking notes, but I didn't hear that. Did I miss that?
You did not miss that.
It was not in there. Yet we were told there were leaks coming out saying he would be talking about boots on the ground. Thankfully,
Barry Newsbaum said the same thing on my show, and I said, no, he's not going to say that.
Well, those were the leaks. We saw them earlier on social media, people citing sources. Well, thankfully, that's not going to happen. Oil prices have, however, popped up to $103 a barrel as President Trump threatens to strike Iran's power plants. Well, that is good news. I'm glad he didn't commit us to boots on the ground. I will make a few comments. I'm sure you were taking notes. He says Iran, he said we're eliminating their Navy. We're eliminating their Navy, destroying their defense systems. But yet, of course, we just saw some of the hardest hit that Israel's been in the last few days, in the last 24 hours. Aaron spent, and he's going to be with us in just a little bit, spent a lot of time in a bunker all day, pretty much, he said. So I don't know if he's talking about Iran proper, but Hezbollah, an Iran proxy, still going at it, firing really hard at them. So you want to comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. As far as the Navy comment, I agree. But for their air defense and their missiles and their capabilities, I will unfortunately have to very much disagree with President Trump. First things first, the proxies, as you said. The other part is, early this morning, Iran International reported that they actually been, all the facilities that were hit are great, but IRGC was using places, different places, not known places, to continue making missiles. So they're not where we think they are, which is no surprise. But if I could just add something, I stopped taking note at some point. I would like, on behalf of Americans, or at least on behalf of Americans who think like me, I would add a couple of sentences President Trump left out. I'm sure it was due to timing, but we also like to show gratitude to the Israeli government, the people of Israel who are taking the fire on our behalf. Also, IDF and Mossad for providing us with intelligence that we would need to stand there and brag for 17 minutes straight. If it wasn't for your cooperation and alliance with the United States of America, you would have existed, because that's a biblical order. However, we probably would be dealing with at least 12 cities blown up in America while trying to fight Iran. And we probably would hit all the wrong places, because technically our military doesn't even know the distance between Khark and Shiraz, or which one is the island. So thank you, Israel, for your alliance, for your friendship, and for your strength, for showing the world that the bully is not a bully during your 12 days war. Back to you, Brandon.
So you're saying we need to thank Israel for any success the American government and military has come largely from Israel's telling us where to target.
Absolutely. I understand President Trump's statement about rebuilding our military to a strong military during his last term, but I highly doubt within less than a year and a half our intelligence were able to gather all the information they needed to deliver the results that he just bragged about. All of that comes from Israel. And again, it's okay. I understand. I was told today politely that I shouldn't pick on his random thoughts, that he doesn't think about what he's saying. But the 12 days war last year, 12 days, did absolute higher damages to IRGC than our 32 days. So when we say the worst the world ever has seen, Iran has seen worse last year.
He did also say that the U.S. has so much oil. He kept mentioning that.
Yes.
Then he said to some of these European nations, just go to the strait and take it.
Grab it.
Just grab it. The hard work has been done. And that when this is all over, the strait is going to open up naturally. It just naturally will open up.
Which again comes back to, first of all, the hard work is not done. Because the hard work, as Crown Prince Pahlavi said on his speech at CPAC and also today at Liberty University, the hard work, if all parties understand what they're doing, the hard part will be for the Iranian people to actually take their country back. That's the hard part. To engage and encourage more countries to get involved with this is just creating more mess and delaying what Iranian people call the momentum they created with what he called 40,000+ dead. We know it's more than 80,000, but confirmed by President Trump, 40,000 plus Iranians died, to create a momentum that the longer other countries are involved with this war, the colder that momentum is going to get. But fair, I will accept anybody who in their head or loudly to the screen are saying, you're biased, you're Iranian. You're correct, I am. And that's coming from a very biased area. But grabbing a Strait of Hormuz, trust me, if grabbing a Strait of Hormuz was that easy, we wouldn't be having this conversation tonight.
Then he said that what we're doing is an investment in your children and grandchildren's future. You know what I would like to see as an investment in my children and grandchildren's future is that we close down all these towel-wearing camel jockeys that are opening up these mosques all over the country.
I agreed 100%. No, 2,000%.
With the towel wearing or the camel jockey part?
With all of the above. I with all of it. I would very much and also another thing I would like to see us invest in for our children's future, as I hinted at it on your show last night, and I'm working on the Substack part, is if we could stop making Americans follow the dealer's choice culture, if our politicians from top to bottom would go back to following the Constitution instead of changing the rules of the game every other day based on what fits them, because we're gambling with the future of our children with that.
Yep. Well, let me go to a email. Corinne. Dear Brandon and Annie, what will be left in Iran if Pahlavi finally gets there? 3 question marks.
You mean if President Trump delivers on all these threats?
Yeah.
There won't be much left.
We're decimating their navy, destroying their defense systems. So going after the energy and oil structure.
Yes. There won't be much left. But what is left, as again, this is, yes, it sounds biased, but this is history. You can look at it. Iran has survived 2,800 years. You should go back and look what Alexander of Macedon, I know you call him great, what he did to Iran. The leftover of half of the palace of Hachamaneshan is still standing there. It's okay. Even if Trump wants, I'm not encouraging it. Part of me would like to see him try, though. It's okay. A free Iran can rebuild itself. And remember, yes, the oil is a huge, to many, oil is Iran's only way of surviving economically. But in reality, I have listed the natural resources inside Iran that will fairly quickly rebuild the country. By fairly quickly, I don't mean 32 days. Couple of years. It's going to expand to 5 years. Right now, if it is what it is and we take it back, in 5 years we can be, back on our feet. But if they want to take all of that out, that's all right. In 15 years, Iran's going to get back on its feet. The question is, are Western country is going to leave us alone for 15 years to rebuild? That's a question. Because when Pahlavi the first, Reza Pahlavi king, when he took power from Qajar dynasty, more than 75% of Iranians were living under the line of poverty, to an extent of begging on the streets for food. When he took that country during his own time, before they toppled him and forced his son to take power, he rebuilt all of that without anyone's help. Iran has plenty of resources. The right person knows how to rebuild it. Again, I'm not encouraging it, but very much my face is telling you that I look forward to any of these threats to turn into actual action.
Rosa wants to know, and thank you for the wonderful shows. Does Annie have contact with anyone in Iran, and what do the Iranian people want? Do they want the U.S. to continue? Lately, it's possible. Lastly, is it possible to arm the citizens?
I do have contact with more than one. I have contact with plenty of people. The people of Iran, inside Iran, they want U.S. to continue following Israel's lead. That's what I should say. All of them. Majority of Iranians would like U.S. to continue helping Israel to finish this war, because. And be very clear reason, people of Iran understand, and we all comprehend, that Israel understand what needs to be done. Also, Israel understand who needs to be the transitional government. Therefore, Iranian people would like to follow the plan of Israel rather than U.S. There are many Iranians who feel disappointed and discouraged by the recent confusing words coming out of the White House. Negotiation, new regime, make a deal. All of that is discouraging them. Rightfully so. They're a little more sensitive right now. They went through almost 60 days of revolution and now 30-some days of war. So they're taking every word serious. Sometimes I have to talk to people and tell them that, hey, he's going to change his mind within the next hour. That Iran, yes, it is. It's absolutely possible. But I highly doubt if we would follow Israel's lead, we wouldn't need to arm Iranian people at all. Enough armed people are standing by to come out and finish the job. We just need to do this right, which U.S. is not at the moment. That answered the question.
Joe's back. He wants to know, if we've destroyed all of their missiles and launchers, how is it that Iran's raining down missiles on Israel and keeping Aaron living in a bunker?
I'm sorry, what was the person's name?
Joe again, Joe Fleming.
Joe, keep staying a free thinker. Good job. Think for yourself. Exactly. When yesterday, President Trump was asked by a journalist or a reporter that IRGC is making threats toward Apple and Google, I believe, in Middle East. And President Trump said, threats with what? BB guns? I was like, President Trump, with all due respect, let's tone it down on arrogance for a minute. They're not down to BB guns.
No.
They are shooting missiles, not just at Israel. Confirmation this morning, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, all confirmed hits again. Interception, some not. So yes, you're correct. We didn't. And again, let's go back to the 12 Days War. Brandon, what was the first announcement when it happened, when Midnight Hammer was done? President Trump came and said, I can't pronounce that word in English, obliterated.
Obliterated?
That is what he said about the nuclear facilities, right? I'm going to believe what he said tonight as much as I believe what he said last year after the Midnight Hammer. Just because one said it's destroyed, it's gone, doesn't mean it is. I believe it when Israel is done. The moment Israel announced that we achieved our objective, then I will get on the streets and celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because they've been consistent.
And of course, anyone who goes on social media would see that, 12 hours ago or more, we have all kinds of Israelis on the side of the road, trying to shield their heads, and traffic's backed up because the missiles are raining down. In fact, if you go to worldviewreport.com, you'll see that we're reporting on that. Iran barrage wounded 15 in central Israel on eve of Passover. One girl, I think she's 11 or 12, is in serious condition. So, yeah, this is far from over.
It is far from over, pending on objectives. Again, I emphasize Trump is close to his objective, yes. And by the way, he did say regime change and new regime 5 times in one sentence. He thinks he has reached his objective, the objective that was not officially announced. So we can say, yeah, he decided this is it. But as far as claiming America will be safer, so will be the world, sir, we are nowhere near that day. Even if we put Iran aside for a discussion, as long as United States of America legitimize people like Jelani, also known as al-Shara, who this morning very much looked at the cameras and said, we're not getting involved with this. As long as diplomacy is working between us and Iran, why would we get involved? If Iran decide to bomb Syria, we'll think about retaliating. That's your good-looking guy in a suit. That was his response. As long as we're legitimizing people like Erdogan, calling them a great leader for his nation, America or the rest of the world will not be safe. As long as Western countries, it's not just about Trump, Western countries, their leaders and their citizens don't understand the architecture of jihad, we're not going to be safe. Iran with IRGC, Iran without IRGC, we got a problem right here at home.
Well, that's again why we've been saying for so long that our foreign policy does not match our domestic policy.
Bingo, exactly.
All right. I guess that's it. Although we are seeing again oil spiking. We'll see where all that goes. I don't know. Apparently, even Lindsey Graham wants to find an off ramp. Mr. I never met a war I didn't want to fight. Wants an off ramp. I don't know what I guess they're really worried about the economy, the midterms.
Midterm is the biggest concern right now. Midterm is their concern.
And of course, the economy will impact the midterms. If people are paying, over $4 a gallon for gas, that's going to be a kitchen table issue, and that's going to impact the elections.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Get her book, The Architecture of Jihad, right here. The Architecture of Jihad. Is the post office man, the mailman, still bringing you big buckets to load these in because the orders?
Yes. This morning, actually, he had to pick up another one of those buckets with orders, which is very delightful.
I'm glad to hear about that. Good.
Yes.
Get your copy.
I've been told that it's unusual for a first-time author to have sold more signed copies than off of Amazon, but that is my case today. We have sold more signed copies directly than Amazon.
Good for you.
And we still made it to #1 release on Amazon, so I'm grateful.
Absolutely. Excellent. liveuptofreedom.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Hey, can you speak about this? Melissa just sent me a little note saying, can you have her speak about what is the URL, guys? MelissaHouseClean.com. MelissaHouseClean.com. She wants to know if you'll speak about that real quick.
Absolutely.
And all the great products they have there.
Yes. So the product is Norwex, and it is proven formula. Many people might be familiar with the formula through your kitchen or bathrooms and showers. It's called Backlock. It has anti-microsilver agents, meaning all of their cloth, all of their pads are made with this formula, which means it will never absorb any bacteria, any germs while cleaning your surfaces. Everything in their website is 100% chemical free. You kind of almost know immediately because, first of all, nothing has that weird over-exaggeration of lavender smell. It's all neutral. Also, when you read through the material, you'll see that everything is natural. It's in the nature as you can find it. Of course, we can't put it together the way they do because we don't know how to do that. I've been using their product for over 9 months now. Everything in my house is now Norwex, from my shampoo and conditioner to my skincare to my hygiene to my cloth, from window cloth to Enviro cloth, body cloth, all of it is Norwex. Their mop, amazing. If you have 3 cats like I do and wood floor across your house, you enjoy having that mop because you actually keep your floors clean by just mopping once, and you don't need anything to spray with it. You literally just mop away everything.
And you're not getting all those harsh chemicals, all the
none.
Have you ever sprayed with, I won't say the brand, but you ever sprayed with a glass cleaner and you just spend the next few minutes coughing?
Used to.
A few months ago, I said to my wife was using one, and I said, "Don't use that. I don't want you inhaling that. Quit using that."
And that's the beauty of it. Their window cloth, which is I have I kid you not, I have a mini window cloth right here. I even clean my monitor, my laptop, and the TV behind me with this little tiny window cloth. And all I need is to spray some water, wipe. Flawless, clean, good to go. Just water activated. You don't have to use anything except water with most of their cloth. And also, their laundry detergent was my converting point. As I said, cats. I'm able to put my small rogs and what do we call it, runners in my washer when they have accidents. I use their laundry detergent, and it not only removes the stain, but it completely removes the smell from it. Like, I just take it out, put it down, and most people who have pets, either dog or cat, getting the smell is the challenge. You normally just throw it out. But with a tiny bit of their laundry detergent, I've been able to keep all of my pieces. And though I have a senior citizen in the house with 11-year-old cat, he's got a lot of accidents. And that was my converting point. Like, that's it. I'm switching to all of their product, because if they can do this with no chemical involved, then their products are reliable. So yes, grab them. What's the URL for Melissa?
MelissaHouseClean.com. MelissaHouseClean.com.
MelissaHouseClean.com. I'll start with when you go to her website, there is a package, the starter package. Grab that starter package. A week later, you're going to come back and buy everything from their website, because I tested it, and your audience might know as well as mine. This is, I think, by far the first time in my 10 years of being on air that I have endorsed an actual product. Never done it. That should say all you need to hear about Norwex.
And Melissa loves their towels. She's been using them for a while anyway. So she knew about them, but didn't know about a lot of their other great products. But she said this would be a great company to work with, because no one wants to breathe in these harmful chemicals, and you get worried about it. And your pets, what your pets are licking up or consuming because of the products you're using. So we all have to be careful, particularly those who have children, grandchildren, or pets. MelissaHouseClean.com. As always, thank you, Annie.
My pleasure. Thank you, Brannon. I have a feeling I'll be back tomorrow to talk about change of plans.
I'm pretty sure you will. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Okie dokie. So the crew has launched Artemis 2, and they already have issues with the toilet. The toilet already, folks. These folks were up really early this morning. They got strapped in. They were sitting there for a good almost 4 hours before liftoff. And you would think that after they get up there in orbit, it's like, guys, I got to get up. We have to use the potty. But apparently the potty's broke. This is the latest we're getting before we go to Jason Pratt. Listen to this.
Thanks.
Is it really?
Congrats on the clean launch so far. Jared, or whoever wants to answer, how were you able to resolve the communications issue? And do you have any guesses as to what might have caused that? And was there any part of the mission so far that appeared off nominal, or is everything looking good? Just curious to hear how things are going on that. Thanks.
Well, on the comms issue, and I don't know, there may be someone here that has a little more detail than I do of having to run around quite a bit, but I think they're still looking into trying to really understand exactly what was going on there. But it's restored, which is important. I think it was during
handover to Tejas West.
Sometimes
that's squirrely. ground configuration. You gotta get that right. So hopefully that's what it is. But we'll chase it down. But they were able to recover. They had intermittent forward and return links, so the burns that they needed on board it was never an issue. It was unusual for it to be dropped out for a couple minutes. So that's why we're telling you. We had a controller issue with the toilet when they spun it up, so we got to work through that. That's going to take maybe a few hours to troubleshoot. So there was also a water tank valve. There's 4 water tanks on Orion. There's a crossover valve that connects the 2 gangs of tanks. It's supposed to be open to ensure maximum flow. It was closed during ascent. When you shake the thing, things like that happen. So they're going to reset the valve. And then they had a recurrence of on Artemis 1, we had a latching current limiter failure on a piece of electronics, a transient failure when it gets exposed to radiation. They took 1 hit of those. We took about 24, 25 of those during Artemis 1. Again, normal, the onboard fault detection cleans that up, but we're just getting started, Joey.
All right. Well, let's pray they get the toilet fixed. 4 guys and 1 gal. That's not good news, but maybe after a few hours of work. Sounds like buying an RV. Have any of you ever bought an RV and you get it and you're so excited about it? And then you spend the next 6 months working out all the bugs. Kind of what it reminded me of. The toilet's not working. This is going down. Blew a fuse here. I'm like, sounds like buying a brand new RV. Get out on the road and spend the first 6 months just working out all the bugs. But this is space, so it's a lot bigger issue, obviously. But there you go. The toilet's not working, but they think within a few hours they can have it up and running. I think that probably would be good news for the folks on board. Speaking of the folks on board, we talked with a guy today that knows 2 of those astronauts, our buddy Jason Pratt. Well, look at that. You stopped by to say hello and to bless us with your presence. Thank you, sweetheart. How are you doing tonight? This would be a great opportunity to plug your Happy Howl at dollyfood.shop. You love it, don't you? Dollyfood.shop. There it is. She's the spokesperson for that. You can find that at dollyfood.shop. She loves that Happy Howl, 100% all natural. So there you go. So we pre-recorded an interview this afternoon with Jason Pratt because he had church duty tonight. So we knew we weren't going to be able to have him on with us live. Now, when we were interviewing him, we were also watching the launch pad. And I think we got it down to, you're really going to drink out of my water over there, are you? Well, I guess I don't get to drink out of that myself. That's my backup glass. So fortunately, I got one on the desk right here that you drink out of the backup glass. All right. We were watching the launch pad, and I think we got down to about 30 minutes before launch, if you don't count the 10 minutes where they had to put it on hold and then restart the count. So we were pretty close, but we couldn't have him with us live because he had to, as I said, go to church. But everything we were talking about, it doesn't matter. It's evergreen. We were talking about the history of the NASA program, the guys he knows, the technology, the history, where we're going, why we're going back to the moon, going to Mars. What has the space program benefited us? I asked him that point blank. We're spending a lot of money here, but are we getting anything for it in return? He says he's a little biased. But indeed, this is a very intriguing interview with our friend Jason Pratt that I pre-recorded. Then we're going to go to Aaron. I've already mentioned Aaron spending the day in a bunker, observing Passover in a bunker because of all the rockets raining down from Iran. And even as I'm speaking, my Red Alert app is going off right now at 8:48 Central, 9:48 Eastern Standard. My Red Alert app is going off, which means there's something coming in, drones or rockets to Israel. So it's ongoing. Pray for them. But we're going to check in with Aaron after our little conversation here that we pre-recorded with Jason. So watch this. We're going to be joined in just one moment by our buddy Jason Pratt. He is a former Navy test pilot. He was actually selected by the Navy to be an astronaut and then went through the screening process with NASA. Wish he had made it. Maybe he'd be on this flight. But he's going to join us here in just one moment. He is a literal rocket scientist, has done that for the Navy, for the government. He now works for a large defense contracting firm. But as a real-life rocket scientist, he has a lot to say about this trip to go around the moon. We're going to talk to him about why this is being done. And what does it have to do with data centers on the moon? Anything? Data centers on the moon? He mentioned that today in our conversation earlier this morning. That's pretty fascinating. Talk to him about that. But before we do, take a look at this little video put out by NASA, and then we'll go to Jason. Watch this.
Artemis 2 mission is a test mission of the Orion space capsule.
Artemis 2 will be the first time we put humans on this rocket.
We're going back to the moon because it's the next step in our journey to Mars.
We were always going to the moon.
Pushing ourselves to explore is just core to who we are. That's a part of being a human.
And liftoff. We shall return.
Continuing to test out every bit of Orion.
Coming back to Earth, 7 miles a second.
When humanity sets big goals, we can bring together genius from around the world.
You have the best people on planet Earth putting this vehicle together.
That's what's up.
To innovate for the benefit of humanity and to inspire the world through discovery.
And here we go.
Pretty cool stuff, indeed. Costing a fortune. Are we going to get our money out of it? I don't know. Let's talk to Jason Pratt about that. Jason, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks for being with us. All right, we're pre-recording this for tonight's broadcast because Jason has duties at church, and so we're pre-recording to air tonight, and so we don't know what's going to happen right now. There may be by now have been a launch. There may now have been a scrub. We don't know. But by the time we air this tonight, we'll know one way or the other. Right now, while you and I are talking at 5:02 Eastern Standard, there is the rocket ready to go. We watched, I don't know, Logan, if you can go back and grab the footage. We watched them, actually, when I was on radio today, I flipped over to this footage, and there was a lot of police and sheriffs, and I'm like, why did they turn the camera? Something going on security-wise. And we did indeed find out in real time what was going on. It was the little RV that was coming through with the astronauts headed toward the launch pad. I was shocked at how fast they were able to get into their suits and be in the cockpit. I was stunned. I would have thought all of that would have taken a lot longer to get into the suits than it did. But now these guys, there's the original footage from today. But these guys have now been sitting in there a few hours. I mean, like 3+ hours they've been sitting in there, almost close to 4 hours sitting in that cockpit. I mean, that alone has got to be pretty cramped.
Yeah, the Orion capsule is a lot bigger than the Apollo capsule was, the Apollo 11 fame. Not only that, there's 4 crew members on this, and the Orion, I believe, can hold 6 or 7. Can't remember. It's been a while. I've been in the mock-up in the factory, but it's been a little while. And yeah, it's a long time. They've got to go and get into the capsule and strapped in so that the rest of the ground support crew can depart before they start cryogenically fueling the launch vehicle. The launch vehicle is entirely cryogenic, so it's running on liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, both the booster and upper stages. And so they've got to load that propellant on board. And when they're doing that, they want the launch pad completely clear of personnel. So that's a timely process. They clear everybody except for the astronauts, obviously, on top of that rocket. And they're in there for a long countdown from tanking until liftoff.
They want everyone out of there. Is that because it's dangerous loading all that fuel?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you're loading hydrogen. It's kind of like a hydrogen, oxygen, very explosive elements with any ignition. So just in loading that, they clear the entire what's called the blast danger area, the BDA.
How nervous do you get watching something like this as a rocket scientist, knowing all the dangers that are there? You just mentioned a couple of them there. And how nervous do you get, particularly after we think about the 1980s space shuttle? Was that Challenger that blew up? I always get the names wrong. Was that Challenger?
Yeah,
it was Discovery.
Yeah, it was the Challenger on liftoff with the that was around this time of year. What was it? It was February, March time frame, and very cold weather here in Florida at the time, just like we had this year, and resulted in that catastrophe. Unfortunately, we've come a long way. I've sat on console for a lot of missions, and you kind of get used to it. we still clear out the area, get all the personnel. We do a full badge exchange and personnel count and make sure everybody's safe before we get approval to start loading cryogenic fuels. And, so I think being aware of all the safety mechanisms there, you kind of get used to it, but then this situation is very different. My missions are all spacecraft, satellites that are unmanned. This is a manned mission, and so the risk level increases significantly, and because of that, the oversight and the care and the safety measures are increased significantly. And so that's why we're taping this, because there's a lot that can go wrong, and any of those issues, if any issue or anomaly is discovered, then there's a good chance that it'll scrub. Not to mention the weather right now is looking mostly good, 80% chance of launch, but there is a 20% chance of scrub due to weather, mostly winds and clouds.
Okay, so why are we doing this? We heard that it's important because this is going to be basically our launch point to Mars. Are they going to go to the moon, build a space center, and launch from the moon to Mars?
Yeah, so this flight's important for a number of reasons. That trailer you played from NASA is a good one. They said, it's a test flight, and this is very similar to the test flights that we did on aircraft, where you want to kind of test a lot of the systems out before you go to the full capability of any launch vehicle or the capsule. So it's kind of a crawl, walk, run approach. And in fact, Jared Isaacman, the NASA administrator, came out and he's changed the plan moving forward. The next mission, Artemis 3, was supposed to be going to the moon. We're not going to do that now. They're going to go into Earth orbit and do some more testing before now Artemis 4, which will be going to the moon. And to be honest, a lot of individuals with experience in the industry were very happy with Isaacman's decision. He wants to get away from launching only every couple of years. It's been 3 years since Artemis 1, and we need to be launching rockets more more frequently to exercise all these big moving parts and muscle memory, and just get that expertise back, and get comfortable with launching rockets and just making sure all the systems are working. So doing it every 3 years is not the way to do that. So he's trying to increase the tempo as well as increase some of the test points so that we're doing this more smartly. So this particular mission is the first step in that. They're going to go into Earth orbit and do what we call RPO operations, rendezvous and proximity ops. It's primarily a proximity operation where they're going to be maneuvering around the part of the command module and just seeing how the capsule, the Orion capsule, maneuvers and operates in space, as well as unfurling its solar arrays, and is maintaining a positive power situation. So we're going to look at that before it propels itself to one quick, not even a full lap around the moon, but go around the dark side of the moon and return back to Earth. So it's kind of a standard careful test approach.
So when will splashdown be?
The full mission will be 10 days, and then so splashdown will be 10 days from now, I think.
Okay.
The 10.
Now, how many times will they go around the moon? Once?
Just like not even a full time. They'll go around the dark side and come back around and return right back to Earth. So it's just going to make a loop.
Will we lose contact with them?
When they're on the dark side, we will lose contact momentarily.
Mm-hmm. Did I hear him in that video a while ago? That's a pretty shot. Did I hear them a while ago say that when they come back to Earth, they're falling at 7 miles a second?
Yeah, they're going to be, I forget what the speeds are, but the re-entry speed is exceptionally fast. It's around Mach 20, depending on, the altitude and all that. So they're coming in very quickly. Coming in at the angle that they're going to be entering with the heat shield, their capsule, the heat shield in particular, is going to reach about half the temperature of the sun. And all that friction is creating a lot of heat, but it's also slowing the capsule down. And then there's, I think, about 11 parachutes that will deploy in several series to slow the capsule down to just under 20 miles per hour before it splashes down in the ocean.
You and I were talking earlier this morning, and you said something that really shocked me. You said that, I said, why are we doing this? It's going to cost a lot of money. Why are we doing this? Well, we've heard, I guess they want to go to Mars from here. And by the way, so are you saying they may indeed build a base to launch from Mars off the moon to Mars?
So that's the ultimate goal. So ideally, Artemis 4 will get us back to the moon, where we'll have a crew of 4, and I think at least 3 astronauts will step foot. Maybe it's 2. I'm not sure what their plan is, if they'll leave 2 on orbit and then 2 to come to the surface of the moon and return to the moon and prove to the world that we did it once, we're doing it again. You know, part of that is just the human spirit for exploration. So there's a big part of that, but also a lot of science and other capabilities. They want to establish a base on the moon for lots of different purposes, one of which is to establish data centers. One of the missions that went to the moon, one of the lunar landers, the name of it escapes me. We did a show on that one. It did not quite work out. The capsule, I think, one of the feet landed on a rock and it tipped over. But that was going to set up a small data center just on that lander and start a off-terrestrial data center that will be very secure because it's not on the Earth, so there's very limited ways to get access, as well as the environment of the moon provides for a good computer environment for cooling and maintaining a good data center. So that's one of the things, and then also providing a stop-off point for storing rocket parts and fuel for a future mission to Mars, whether that's human or not. A human mission to Mars can be very challenging because it's about 10 months to a year to get there, and then again another 10 months to a year to get back. So that's over 2 years in space, and the longest we've had someone in space just over a year, and that had a significant impact to the astronaut.
Really? How so?
Just physically, the time there, your muscles atrophy, your bone density is decreased, and that's a permanent. You will get your muscle, tone back to some degree, but your bone density never fully returns, never fully recovers. There could be dental issues and some other things, plus the exposure to radiation. So, when an astronaut returns after just 6 months, let alone a year, they have to be lifted out of the capsule and spend some time in the hospital just recovering to a 1G environment on Earth after being on orbit for an extended period of time. So 2 years in space, even on Mars, which is still a little more gravity than the moon. The moon's 1/6 the gravity, and Mars is a little more than that. But still, that's reduced gravity, and we're just not getting the stress on our skeletal structure and our muscle that we need. So when they return, they're going to be in a very weakened state.
Interesting. So you mentioned today, as I started to set up, and then I want to ask about going off Mars from the moon. I started to say, you mentioned today, this morning, when we were discussing, you said, well, one of the things they may want to do is do data centers on the moon. You've alluded to that now. These would be data centers by which they then use that information to go on to Mars. But is it possible that our government could choose to do data centers on the moon that have nothing to do with a project to Mars, but now look at that, they're shutting the doors. So up till now, those guys have had the doors open. Is that right? So those guys,
correct.
They were,
yep.
Okay. So for about 3 hours, maybe about 3 hours now. Yeah. For about 3 hours, they have been in there. Up until now, the door has been shut, but now the door is shut. Wow. Man, I could never do that. It's so claustrophobic. But we talk about data centers on the moon. Could that be something our government does, our military does? It has nothing to do with going to Mars, but you mentioned putting them there because of the ability to cool them, because it's cool on the Earth, on the moon, obviously it's cold. But also, you said it's so safe. I mean, putting them on the moon keeps it from being damaged or attacked, right?
Correct. Yeah, it being off Earth, it's a very secure environment. Just it's by its proximity away from Earth, and then in the shade of the moon, or on the opposite side. So if you have a structure that's providing some shade, then you have the darkness of space provides a black body. It's an ideal cooling situation. On the front side is very hot because of the sun and the solar radiation and no atmosphere, so it's very hot. But that would be something they would shield the data center from. That would provide warmth, and then they can use heat pipes and various other types of things that we use on satellites to maintain temperature balance. But then the cooling side of it is just on the backside and using radiation to radiate heat away from the data center. It provides just a very efficient way to do that. And predominantly, this would be for secure data centers for business and national security. That would be the primary use of it. And not even really for the space program.
You know two or three of these people on the flight, right?
I do, yeah. Reed Wiseman is the commander, and he and I flew F-14s together. We were in VF-101 together, and got our first F-14 flight without an instructor, so it was just the two of us. So first time we got the keys to the jet.
Now wait a minute, were you flying opposite jets or in the same?
No,
jet?
we were together.
You were in the same jet.
Yeah.
Was he the pilot, lead pilot, or were you?
Yeah, he was the pilot, and
were you sitting behind him?
Yes. Yeah.
Huh. That's pretty cool, Logan. So you're telling me the commander of this flight here, you have flown in a fighter jet with him as the lead pilot?
Yes. Yeah, we were in the what's called the FRS, Fleet Readiness Squadron, VF-101, Grim Reapers, and that was back in '99. And then we went off to different squadrons, fleet squadrons, and then he ended up going to test pilot school before I did. I went a little later. We were both at VX-23, the Salty Dogs, doing flight tests at different times as he went on his career. Then he was supposed to come back to VX-23 while I was there, but that's when he got selected to the astronaut program.
How old is he?
And then Victor, he's just a little younger than me. He's in his upper 40s, he's in his upper 40s.
Tell us about what these guys. You know more than just him?
Yeah, and then Victor Glover. He was at VX-31, the Dust Devils. That's another Navy test squadron. He actually went to the Air Force test pilot school. We have an exchange program where we have some Air Force guys come to the Navy test pilot school, and then some Navy guys go to the Air Force test pilot school, and that's what Victor did. And he was at VX-31 about the time that I was at VX-23 and did some tests out there. So both great guys, super fun to be around, and excellent pilots, and just great attitudes. And they were great selects.
So you know two of the four people in that cockpit right now.
I do, yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So
what we're watching here.
I was going to ask you, what are these guys all doing? Who are these guys?
These are all technicians. They help the astronauts get situated. You're in that very bulky spacesuit, and so they'll help you get strapped in and into the suit, make sure that your helmet's on and everything's connected, and you're connected, your communications and your environmental control. The suit is environmentally controlled with basically warming and cooling. And so they have to hook all that up and make sure that the astronauts are comfortable and ready to sit for another couple hours. So it's L minus 1 hour, 5 minutes, I'm seeing. So another hour and 5 minutes. The launch window is 2 hours, so it could be as long as 3 hours from now before they actually launch. And then
explain that. So there's the window by which is what the right temperature, the right weather, the lack of clouds, or what determines the launch window?
Yeah, the launch window is based on actually the trajectory of the spacecraft or the launch vehicle, where they're going. So
it has to do with where the Earth is right now?
Yeah, where the Earth is in relation to the moon. So it's all based on that. Right now,
and this is where we know the world is not flat, right? Because
yes.
So the flat earthers out there, right now you're making decisions on your launch window based on the fact that the world is a sphere, not flat. Do I have that right?
Exactly. Yeah, that definitely is a major part of the the launch window determination based on the where the launch vehicle is right now in Florida. It's not, we don't think about it as necessarily a place on Earth. It's actually a place on Earth that it equates to a place in space on a globe that is going to another place in space out by the moon. And so that all works in and figures into the launch window. So each different orbits have different launch windows. A lot of my missions go to geosynchronous space. So typically we have about an hour launch window. There are other missions that have an instantaneous launch window. So we just have about a minute to launch. So it just depends on the orbit that the spacecraft is targeting.
What are we seeing there?
These are just file footage of them going through various trainings, learning, the Orion spacecraft and their mission, and rehearsing checklists and emergency procedures.
Claustrophobia, I guess that's just not an issue for these guys, or does your mind ever start thinking, oh, it's so tight in here? Or how about you as a pilot? You've been in your cockpits are pretty tight. I mean, is that something like people say to me, I don't know, I couldn't do what you do, live TV. Don't you get nervous? And my wife over the years would say before I'm getting up to go speak or do a concert, are you nervous? No, not nervous. I guess it's just what you do. It's what you're used to. So I don't have the ability to go and get in a small place, a small space, but apparently other people are wired where it doesn't bother them. Whereas the same guy may not want to sit on live TV day in and day out. I wouldn't want to do what he does. Is that what we're talking about here? Just people wired differently?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just something that all the air crew, so the test pilot types, not all the astronauts are necessarily test pilots, but the training they go through, you just get very comfortable with that. You spend a lot of time in the neutral buoyancy tanks. You're actually in either doing scuba diving, supporting an astronaut training mission. So it's a very large swimming pool where you don the spacesuit and you'll practice doing extravehicular activities, EVAs, and getting comfortable in the suit or getting comfortable in microgravity in the spacesuit. So you actually go in the pool, you're in a very confined suit and doing a lot of, important activities and training, as well as then getting in the simulators and spending time in that. And then any of us that flew jets, the fighter jets in particular, are very small cockpits, living on board a ship, and your stateroom as an officer, is typically not very luxurious. So it's something that we're just used to. It you don't even think about it.
Wow, and that's something else. So we're going to the moon. It's going to cost a lot of money. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot because I know you still work in the industry. Is it money well spent?
So that's a good question. I think, it depends on your perspective. For me, being, a love of science and exploration, I think it ultimately is, a lot of times we don't even understand some of the benefits we get. So many things that we take for granted right now. For example, Velcro is a famous example, or pens that can write in water and upside down, and other just important technology. A lot of medical technology that we take for granted is the result of our space industry. So a lot of spin-off technologies, capabilities, and knowledge come from the space program just from doing that. Not to mention, understanding the human body and microgravity and the impacts of that and the physiology, and maybe dealing with bone diseases, because what we're trying to do and understand for long duration space flights. All these things, dealing with radiation, cancers, all these various things become challenges that have to be overcome in a space program, then have application here on Earth for anyone left behind. So it really becomes hard to really measure the return on investment when you consider that, not to mention then the exploration itself and other discoveries and maybe the applications for future businesses. So I think it's hard to measure. I would say it's worth it, but I'm kind of a space nut and have always loved the exploration and pursued this business.
We just crossed under an hour for launch. Of course, we're pre-taping this. It's actually 4:24 Central, 5:25 Eastern Standard. But we had to pre-tape. He has some church duties tonight, but we wanted to get in a long, good interview with him. So we decided to pre-tape this. When this airs, by then, we'll know if they launched or not. but the information we're giving is still relevant, whether the launch happened or whether the launch did not. You've eaten that food. Is it any good?
I've eaten some of it. It's basically freeze-dried food. It's a lot like your camping food, to be honest. So yeah, some of it's quite good, some of it not so much. The interesting thing that a lot of people don't realize is when you go into space and you're on orbit for a period of time, your taste buds actually begin to change. So the taste of food kind of alters a little bit. And I think for each person, it might be a little bit different. One of my friends that's an astronaut, one of his favorite treats is Twizzlers. And that's because he said on orbit, Twizzlers always tasted like Twizzlers. So for some reason, their flavor never changed. So he liked that. It was a familiar flavor that he could enjoy. So it gets challenging to really enjoy the taste of food on orbit just because of the physiology of what's happening on orbit in microgravity. And to be honest, I haven't studied it. I don't really understand what's happening and why that occurs. But then astronauts typically start craving spicy food because just to get some flavor and taste. And a lot of times when they return to Earth, their first stop is at a Mexican restaurant. Oh. So they really like Mexican food when they get back to Earth.
Isn't that something? From a military standpoint, are there things going on this flight that are classified that are military and they're not going to tell us about?
Well, I'm not aware of any, and if I were, I wouldn't be able to talk about it. But there are a number of CubeSats. I think there's 4 CubeSats, but one of them is like a weather sat. There's a South Korean satellite, I believe, and 2 others. I'm not real familiar with what they're doing, but they'll be launching those at some point in their mission.
Wait a minute. They're taking up a satellite with them?
Yeah, they've got some small CubeSats they're on the kind of the back end of the upper stage.
Mm-hmm. Is NASA, I've read recently, can you confirm or can you neither confirm nor deny? Is NASA a space agency or is it a intelligence military agency?
Yeah, it's interesting. So NASA's, I think, role in general has kind of evolved to where they're more of a government entity that is endeavoring to manage a lot of other contractors to do the mission that NASA is tasked with. And predominantly that mission is to promote the exploration of space and to pursue the exploration of space, including launching rockets. Most of the rockets are going to be weather satellites and exploration satellites, and then also these manned missions. That's its primary mission. Any foray into the defense or intelligence world, really, we've got enough of those agencies, so it's largely unnecessary.
How far are you from launch site today?
Physically, right now, I'm just a few miles. I can turn my head and I'd be able to watch it launch.
Are you going to watch it launch?
Well, I hope to. We signed up to. I'm doing a Passover Seder for my church tonight to help them understand what our communion is all about and what Jesus was going through. We're doing a study in the book of John, and right now we're reading through John 12, 13, 14, and the Last Supper. And so we're going to kind of explore that and see how the Passover actually kind of, I guess, prophesied the Messiah. So I love doing these just to look at a Jewish tradition from the Old Testament that actually is rich with prophecy for the Messiah and a lot of significance. So we're doing that, and it's shortly after the intended opening of the launch window. So hopefully we'll get to see it launch and then head off to church.
Okay, so when do you need to go? I need to let you go here. How much longer you got?
Oh, I've probably got another 30 minutes or so.
All right, I won't keep it 30 minutes, but this is a fascinating interview. We're learning a lot from you.
Yeah, I know right where this is. So this is at the, I call it the Armstrong Building. I go there for lunch occasionally.
You go there for lunch? For lunch?
Yeah, right where those astronauts were standing. I used to park right actually there. They've closed it off now. But yeah, there's basically kind of a dormitory, if you will, for the astronauts for when they go into quarantine. in that building. And so that's on Kennedy Space Center. And at the entrance to that building, there's actually Neil Armstrong's spacesuit that he wore to the moon. So that's actually on display there. So
and so he did go to the moon, right? You want to just, to all those folks who said we didn't go, we didn't have the technology to do it. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely went to the moon. There's, I didn't meet Neil Armstrong, but I met a lot of the original astronauts. James Lovell, had lunch with him, and several other astronauts, through my Navy career, hosting different events. And just knowing the technology and how it works, we absolutely had the technology, we had the capability, we went to the moon. But when, we have plenty of people on Earth now that are challenged to believe that the Earth is actually a sphere and not a plate. So there's not going to be convincing people, even when we go to the moon. When Artemis 4 goes to the moon and we have live video footage of someone walking on the moon, people are going to say that it's AI or that it's computer generated and that it's not real. So, but I've launched plenty of satellites. We've got cameras on a lot of the launch vehicles. I watch them in real time, and I see the sphere. I've been up at above 50,000 feet and been able to see the curvature of the Earth. So there's so many things. And like I said, Reed's been on orbit. He's been to the space station. And Victor's been on the Dragon capsule expedition. I think it was mission, I can't remember what, 24, I think it was. And talk to them. They assure me they've been to space and that, yes, they've gone around the Earth and it is in fact a globe, a sphere. So and I think when we get back there, hopefully, some people that may be on the fence will see, that's a real technology. We've really been there, and we're going back.
Well, and I don't know where they'll land, but would they not be able to go over and see where Armstrong planted the flag?
Yeah, I mean, we've got 6 capsules on the moon, or lunar landers, well, not, with the base of them and flags. So it depends on the mission. I'm sure one of the future missions, they'll go back and survey some of the landing sites, but Artemis 4, probably not. They're going to be busy doing other things, but eventually I'm sure we'll go back to some of those locations.
So those who say you couldn't have gone there because the radiation belt, what do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, where the radiation belt is, I mean, we have to go through that already just to get onto low Earth orbit. So that's, shielding, the shielding that was provided by the capsule, it wasn't 100%, but even the space station isn't 100%. But it's low dosage. I mean, anyone that uses a microwave gets, can get a similar dosage. So.
Huh. So what you're saying is you've heard what the skeptics have said, and you can discount and knock down with facts everything they're saying.
Yeah, I've looked at a lot of the conspiracies. I think conspiracy theories should be considered and given due attention. But a lot of them, like the shadows, the distance, who took the video of Neil Armstrong stepping out. There's all kinds of, these various conspiracies, or why was the flag look like it waving? Well, they don't understand solar wind and radiation. I can't say that I've looked at all of them, but every one that I've looked at are pretty trivial, really, to debunk.
Huh. What kind of degrees do these guys we're watching right now? What kind of degrees do you have to have? Are these guys that have advanced physics degrees? Are they rocket scientists, literally, with all the degrees you have? Or so what do you go to school to do? If you want to go to do what they do, what do you got to go to school to and get a degree in?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. A lot of these techs from various areas, some of them don't have any college degree. They may have been enlisted in the military and were supporting aircrew in their military job. Others came from, a variety of backgrounds. And
so some of these guys may not have advanced degrees or college degree at all.
No, a lot of them don't. They're technicians. They're very capable. Obviously, working. They have to work aloft. They have all their fall protection on, and they're dealing with very complicated mechanical systems and doing a lot of troubleshooting. And so they have to understand that crew access arm, and they've got to put all the equipment back in place, not only get the astronauts in place, but then, get the crew access arm in preparation to move back from the capsule and launch vehicle, and then they'll be evacuating themselves here shortly.
So they basically get on the job training, is what I'm hearing.
No, they get a lot of training before any of this even happens. There's a tremendous amount of training, just like a lot of the techs that I work with on my spacecraft. A lot of them come from the military. They were aircraft mechanics and electricians.
Okay. So what you're saying is they get picked out of the military based on what job they were already doing. So they start with a knowledge base, and then they build on it with more training.
Yeah, and some of them may not have ever been in the military. They were working with, the various contractors, L3Harris or Boeing, or Lockheed Martin or Northrop Grumman. So they're coming from those backgrounds, working on building and maintaining or operating this equipment.
Talk to me about the iPad that is strapped to his leg, and now he's got a pen. What is he doing there?
Yeah, I don't really know. I know that they were approved. I think Jared Isaacman just approved them today. I think that they could take their cell phones, so they can take their cell phones with them. So that'll be cool. They'll be able to get some selfies. I don't think they'll be able to make a phone call, but they'll certainly be able to take some pictures.
That shot we just saw, just before we lose context, that shot we just saw, were those the two the pilot and co-pilot? They're sitting up front?
Yeah, that was probably the pilot, which was Victor, and then the mission commander, which would have been Reed. Those screens, I have used those screens a little bit at the factory. They're the systems. They're going to have checklists on them and the various systems that they have to put into the appropriate pre-launch condition, and they're running through their checklists and preparing and monitoring the systems and everything prior to launch.
So they basically have been working since they got in there, which is now going on over 3 hours.
Correct. Yeah. So you can see, the two. So it's kind of a double-decker capsule. So like I said, it's a good bit larger than the Apollo capsule was. So this double-decker, the crew station is kind of on the top level, and then you've got kind of your mission specialists on the lower level. And I'm pretty sure they.
So these guys right here. Look, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the guys at top are the guys that we just saw with all the stuff in front of them. The guys on the bottom are basically the passengers right now.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they're mission specialists. They're going to be doing any of the experiments. They may be doing some of the flying, as far as maybe some of the docking or monitoring the systems. The CubeSats that I mentioned, they may be, launching those off of the launch vehicle. So they've got a whole series of responsibilities. A lot of the science is going to rely on them. So when they go around the moon, they'll be collecting whatever data they can, whatever they're responsible for collecting on that. They'll probably be doing a lot of monitoring of the various systems on the Orion spacecraft, and just keeping track of how it performs. And so that iPad is effectively a knee board, and then you can see he's got his checklist also attached to that. So he's turning the pages of the checklist. He's got a mirror so that you can't really turn your head. So to look behind you, they've got a mirror on that glove. And then if you look at the shoe on the right side there, you can see it looks like a bottle opener at the heel.
Yeah.
That is actually a lug that they can, there's different parts around the spacecraft that they can lock into so that they're not floating around, so they can stay in one place, so they don't just keep floating around.
Logan, can you believe we're getting this kind of analysis? This is super interesting. I wonder what that was on the heel, and then you went ahead and mentioned it. So basically they could do the Michael Jackson trick, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, kind of, leaning. Yeah, but they'll be in zero gravity, so...
Well, how many people know what I'm talking about right now, Jason? How many people know the Michael Jackson trick, huh? Logan, you know the Michael Jackson trick? Huh? No, not the moonwalk. Steve, go on YouTube. See if you can see Michael Jackson, how he would to lean forward.
Yeah, when he leaned way forward, yep.
He would slide his heel. His heel would have a notch in it, and he would slide his foot into like a nail that would allow him to lean forward without falling over.
Yeah, similar idea.
Similar idea. But this one is keeping him from floating away when they get in space.
Correct. Yeah.
So how long from the time that they've been up this morning and launch, how long is their day going to be? And at what point will they go to sleep tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. It's, that's pretty rigorous. The life of an astronaut, there's times when I'm glad I wasn't selected because it's...
now he's just interrupt real quick. He's got his heel. I always wondered how he did that. He just he stepped forward, slid his heel into a spike or something in the floor that allows him to lean forward and do that trick. I always wondered how they did that. But anyway.
Yep.
So
there you go. So it's very regimented. Once they get on orbit, they're going to have very specific things they have to do. And then their sleep cycle is, again, very regimented. They have to get, their work day is going to be very long. And then they're going to have a little bit of free time, a little bit of eating time, and then back to work. And they'll be working in shifts. So it's very heavily scripted, and they'll be pretty much told when to go to sleep, when to wake up, and what they're doing.
So I'm guessing there's not a bed or a hammock for all four of them because they rotate.
No, what they have is they have basically a sleeping bag that you can attach to the wall of the capsule, and they'll just they have their sleeping stations, and they'll just zip into this bag that keeps them from floating all over the capsule.
Incredible. What else is coming to mind while you're watching all this? Any stories or anything else?
Oh, let's see. Well, I think, they probably didn't sleep too great last night. I think, pretty excited to get this mission. I think this is like the second or third time. It's definitely the second time they went into quarantine, and now they're in the capsule. So this is as far as they've gotten so far.
So they've been scrubbed once before?
They were, yeah. Before they went, there was a leak, helium leak that they had. I believe it was helium or hydrogen. I can't remember. And then I think they also had a nitrogen leak. So they, they're making very good progress. They're inside of an hour, and if the weather holds and all the systems continue to work, and they have a clean countdown, then they'll be on orbit here.
Were they in their seats when they were scrubbed last time, or did they make it that far?
I don't think they manned up yet. I don't believe they got to this point. It was a couple hours before.
This is obviously there's what is there 300 plus million Americans here in the U.S., but apparently just this one feed right now has 981,000 watching it. So almost 1 million people watching this one feed. So obviously this is of great interest to the American people. And while it should be, we're paying the bill on this, I guess, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of enthusiasm. The launches, it's almost, it's become almost mundane here. My kids don't even stop to watch a launch anymore. There's about 2 a week. But this is a big deal. The human spaceflight is a little different. There's a lot of enthusiasm. There are a lot of people here on the Space Coast right now, all around, trying to find the spots that you can go and watch this launch from. So those are, pretty busy. And here they are. They're all preparing. They're inside one of the training capsules, and they were walking up to one of the capsules. So. It's a big deal, and especially this is going to be the furthest that mankind has been away from Earth, actually ever, because it's actually going to go, I believe this mission is going to go a little further away from Earth than any of the Apollo missions as it goes around the backside of the moon. And also the furthest a woman has ever been. So pretty exciting historical mission.
And I think I just read that lady that's on there spent 300 and some odd days in space already, once before and did a moonwalk.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe Christine's been on the space station. Victor's been on, I don't think he's done a space station full stint. He's done some Dragon flights and been up for a couple weeks. And then Reed has been on the space station.
Now, obviously, I'm guessing we're going to be able to follow this 24/7 over the next 10 days, right?
There is, yeah. The NASA.gov there is loaded with all kinds of great resources, videos, different informational booklets, and you can actually, there's a site that you can go to and track Artemis, and it'll show you exactly where Artemis is, and it'll show you what the spacecraft is doing, its orientation, when the solar arrays get deployed, so you'll be able to kind of watch everything almost in real time from basically a computer animation that's based on the telemetry coming back from the spacecraft of, showing exactly where it is and what it's doing.
So this is the first time we have launched live humans into space since when? I mean, I guess SpaceX has done it, but when was the last time NASA did it? And even taking SpaceX into consideration, this has never happened to go this far into space, what I just heard you say.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, SpaceX does it, pretty regularly now on the Dragon capsule, and then New Glenn, Amazon or Blue Origin with its New Glenn has done it quite a bit, or New Shepard, I'm sorry. So we've been launching humans, and then obviously we've been doing, the return, departures and returns to the space station. So that's been pretty regular. But departing low Earth orbit, that's a first since I think 72.
Anything else you should report before we go? Is there just T-minus 38 some odd minutes and seconds?
Yeah, T-minus 38 minutes and counting, or L-minus. There's
wait a minute. What's the difference? T-minus versus L-minus. Wow, good catch there. What's the difference?
Yeah, so there's missions that have built-in holds will have a T timer, T clock. The L is real time without any built-in holds. So there's no holds. It should be continuing to count down to L-0.
Could there be a hold at some point?
If there's a hold, it's because of an observation or an anomaly, and so then they'll have to pause the countdown and then deal with that. So,
is this launching from Cape Canaveral?
It is, yeah. It's Space Launch Complex 39 A or B. Sorry, the north one. So 39B.
And you've been all over that, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Yeah, I've been to most of the pads.
I mean, you've launched rockets yourself that you oversaw, right?
Yes. Yeah, I haven't launched out of 39 complex yet, but I
remember we were talking one night when you were active, and I called you, and there was a beep every few seconds. Beep. I'm like, what is that? You're like, oh yeah, that's the I don't know what you called it, but you were in the vehicle that was slowly rolling out, carrying the rocket, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think we were transporting a satellite from California, so we were loading it onto the C-5 transport aircraft. Yeah, I think that's what we were doing that night.
Wow. Where is that room right there?
Let's see. This is probably, that looked like, I couldn't tell if it was mission control or launch control. There's a launch control here in Florida at Kennedy Space Center, adjacent to the vehicle assembly building, about 2 miles from the launch pad. And then there's mission control, which is in Houston. So I didn't notice which one that was.
So one is in Florida, one is in Texas. Why the different rooms? Why different places?
Yeah, so launch control is everything up through launch. So once the entire countdown is being managed here locally in Florida, and then once the launch vehicle gets onto orbit, then it'll transition to mission control, which is in Houston. And so it's just a different set of individuals. Primarily, you're going to have a number of the astronauts on, and mission control takes longer. So a lot of the astronauts will rotate through and support mission operations from Houston. Most of the astronauts live in Houston now. I think they all do, to be honest, to support, that's where all their training is and all the infrastructure is for the mission operations. So that's just how they've set it up. Mission ops is conducted from Texas, and launch operations are conducted here in
God
Florida.
forbid communications got disrupted in launch. They're already off the pad, and somehow there was a communication loss in Florida. Would they flip over to Houston, or is that even impossible? In other words, are they running off the grid in Florida, or at this point are they on their own sustained power generators so they don't have a glitch from the grid?
Yeah, we have lots of backups, and that's actually something we practice in countdown, where you'll have an anomaly. We rehearse the countdowns and all the checklists, and we'll have a countdown where all of a sudden it's like, all right, your computer's down, all the networks are down, and we'll go to the point where you might step outside, grab your cell phone, and start calling people on your cell phone as a backup. We have satellite phones. We have lots of different ways to maintain communication. So we actually exercise all those in rehearsals, and so they would have done that. They've got generators, so they are on the grid, but if the grid goes down, they have generators. They will go to those backups, and then they've got backups for those. So there's lots of different things. And then the communications from this launch vehicle will be, we have various tracking stations with the dishes here along the Space Coast, as well as a number of satellites that will be relay satellites for the data and the communications all the way, through the whole mission.
Are China and Russia watching this closely, and if so, why?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they've got some boats right off the coast right now that are looking very closely. I didn't look to see. Usually we'll get notified if there's a Russian or Chinese crewed vessel coming into the port, and if they're going to be around. So I'll send you a video. There's an interesting video that I'll send you for counterintelligence. Yeah, they're watching just to just curiosity, understand what we're doing, how we're doing it. A lot of this, because it's NASA and it's a taxpayer funded mission, a lot of it is available and in the open. Like I said, you go to nasa.gov and you can get a tremendous amount of information, but still they're just as curious. They want to see how it goes. They want to be right there on the spot collecting their own information and not rely on whatever NASA is sharing.
At some point, I was just down in Florida. At some point, I got you to come back. You give me a tour of Cape Canaveral?
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to get on the property right there, but
really?
Might be able to get press access. I can certainly give you tours of the visitor center and a lot of the other outside the gate. But yeah, it's getting pretty hard to get on Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral.
Is it really? Less than 32 minutes if they stay on schedule. Nothing stops them and stops the clock to launch. 10-day mission. Now that map a while ago they were showing seemed to show them going around a couple times, but we've discussed they're only going to go around once, right?
So that was a couple times around the Earth. So they're going to go into.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Holy cow! What is she wearing? That doesn't look like a very professional outfit. I don't care. I mean, whatever. But I mean, why would you wear that for a launch? I guess you could wear it to lunch, but not launch.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what they'll be wearing on the moon. Yeah, they're going to go around the Earth a couple times, and get. They're really testing out the Orion spacecraft. They're going to deploy the solar arrays. They're going to see how the command module is working, and then they're going to dock, or I don't know if they're going to dock, but the video shows exactly what they're going to do. They're going to kind of do proximity operations around the upper stage and just see how the spacecraft maneuvers, how it operates, check all the systems out, and just make sure that everything's functioning as it should, that they understand everything and how it's operating, and they're satisfied with how it maneuvers. So we want to do all that before we have to dock. So then, that's an addition. The next Artemis mission, they'll actually be getting the lunar lander, and they'll probably practice docking on the lander and seeing how that works, and that they can move between the capsule and into the lander, and just be comfortable with how everything's functioning that way. And then Artemis 4, they should be going to the moon.
What's the time frame for the next launch and for going to the moon? What's the calendar? Has it been set?
Yeah, I think they want to have Artemis 3 was going to, like I said, was going to be going to the moon. It was probably going to be about late 2028. I think they're planning on that being Artemis 4 still in late 2028. But before that, then Artemis 3, a new Artemis 3 mission will be going before that. So it should be, within a year or so that we get the Artemis 3 mission taken care of, and then move into Artemis 4.
I wish they would go back to that shot we just saw, because I had a question. Where are the guys sitting? We just saw that shot. Oh, I wish they'd go back to it, because I'd like to know, where is it the guys are actually sitting on that? Okay, there we go. So we've got a orange rocket. Where are the guys?
Yeah, they're up. So the spire, that's the escape tower that is attached to a protective cover around the capsule. So right at the kind of the top, the Hershey Kiss looking thing is the space capsule. So that's the Orion capsule with its protective cover over it, and the escape tower is attached to it.
Tell me about the escape tower. What's that? What do you mean by that?
Yes, that white rod sticking out of the top, that actually has rocket motors on it that can lift. It's basically like an eject system. So if there's danger, there's a problem, they can actually eject off of the launch vehicle and get away from it, and then have the parachutes.
So
deployed.
if all of a sudden they knew there was something going on, this thing might explode, they could launch and eject, and then parachutes would come out.
Right. Yes, they would eject the whole capsule off of the launch vehicle and get it away from it, and they've tested that thoroughly, and then the parachutes would deploy and it would come back to Earth.
Now, when does that?
Right out in the Atlantic.
When does that tower go away? Does it jettison away from them soon?
Yeah, it'll jettison away once it gets into orbit. Again, the video, if you look on YouTube, NASA's got a great video that shows exactly the ascent profile and what it looks like and when. Like the SRBs will come off after about 2 minutes. The orange part, that's the main booster with some additional fairings on the upper stage. The interim cryogenic propulsion stage, the ICPS, is within that as well. After about 8 minutes, the most of the orange will be gone. That'll be expelled, and then it'll be starting its orbit around the Earth, and then the ICPS will fire and take it towards the moon.
And the white silo-looking thing, that doesn't go with them.
Yeah, so the white, that's the solid rocket motor. There's one on the other side.
So it does go with them. That does go with them.
It does, yeah. So that's most of the stuff is actually Space Shuttle heritage equipment. So those boosters are a 5-segment solid rocket motor that they're actually built here at Kennedy Space Center. And,
so they almost has the Space Shuttle concept, because obviously when the Apollo guys weren't using those, right?
Correct. Yeah, they did not have solids. So the solid rocket motors provide an awful lot of propulsion, a lot of.
And there's
thrust.
another one on the other side, you said, that we can't see right now.
Yes,
and those both will fall back to Earth and be recaptured.
They won't. For the Space Shuttle, they were, but for the SLS mission, they're not. They're not going to be recovering them. They don't have parachutes in them, so they'll just become artificial reefs out in the Atlantic.
When they fall back to the Earth and hit the ocean, will they bust apart or what?
Yeah, they'll break apart into big chunks.
Wow. All right, less than 27 minutes to go. Well, I wish we could stay here with you till launch, but I know you got to go to church, and we appreciate your being here. I would have you plug a website and social media, but you don't do that, do you?
Not right now. I'll eventually get back to it, but right now, it's just my hobby and my job are the same right now, so it's keeping me pretty busy.
Mm-hmm. And my nephew works for the same company you work for.
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. He sure loves his job, I hear. And you love yours too, don't you?
I do, yeah. It's a lot of fun. Get to do a lot of really neat things, and love climbing around space hardware. It's fascinating, great job, and a lot of great people working with too. So that makes it a lot more fun.
Anything you want to say, or story you want to tell, or fact you want to tell us about before I let you go?
No, just Godspeed to the crew of Artemis 2 and going back to the moon. So that's very exciting, and this is just one step to get us back to a giant leap for mankind again. So looking forward to that day, and just all the experience and knowledge that we gain between this launch and when we do get back to the moon to walk on it again.
And let's just hope they're not going to Mars eventually to look for proof of life, because that would definitely be a waste of money, would it not?
That would be a waste of money, indeed. Yes.
Is SpaceX involved in this in any way?
This particular launch, no. They are not.
I thought I saw one of his cars. What do you call those cars of his, Logan?
The Cybertruck?
I thought I saw a Tesla next to out there on the grounds earlier today in a footage shot.
Oh, I'm sure you did. They're all over the place. There's a lot of Cybertrucks and Teslas. SpaceX has a large fleet of them as company vehicles, and then there's a lot of people here that just own them privately and drive them on base.
Okay, yeah, I thought I saw one, but he has nothing to do with it. You think Elon's even there? Is he there watching, you think?
I don't know. He's pretty busy. He doesn't even come out for a lot of his own launches.
Really? Wow. What about, President Trump's giving an Oval Office address tonight, but I guess he's probably monitoring this as well. I'm shocked we haven't heard more about this from him, but there you go. And those people on the grounds right there, where is that, by the way? What grounds? Well, that's a very familiar countdown board for a lot of us that grew up watching the space shuttles. Where is that actual plot of ground we're seeing?
Right. Yeah, that's the press area adjacent to the vehicle assembly building. So it's about, like I said, about 2 miles from pad 39A 39B that we're looking at right now. So the SLS Space Launch System with the Artemis, the Artemis system there is off there in the distance, and there's the tidal basin and the press area. So that's a permanent structure there, and you can, if you drive by, you can see where the stands are, and you've got the various press booths, and they've got their company logos on the side.
Mm-hmm. Wow, fascinating. You are a wealth of information. You're a smart guy, but then again, that's why you're a rocket scientist. So thank you for being with us as always, Jason. And keep your cell phone on. God forbid we need to reach you, but keep your cell phone on in case there's breaking news and we have to come to you.
Yeah, I sure will. And thanks again for having me. And we're just praying for the safety of the crew and a good mission.
Absolutely. Safety of the crew and good mission. Absolutely. Jason Pratt checking in tonight. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Brandon.
23 minutes and 22 seconds to launch. And of course, we're pre-taping this and we're going to go to a break right now. But we, of course, are going to be covering this live when it happens in 23 minutes with the audience, and then bring this to them tonight. Because again, we learned a lot. We learned a lot from Jason there that is, it's not time sensitive, meaning what he said is all true facts, history, science that will play at any time and be of interest to you. So I do hope you guys find this interesting that we do this kind of programming. And if you do, we need your support. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com, so we can keep pushing out free news and information. What a long day today, folks. We'll have been in the studio a lot of hours today. So if you appreciate our commitment to bringing you all kinds of programming, and a variety of programming. If you appreciate that, we appreciate your support to keep it all going. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Go to worldviewtalk.com. Get your satellite phone like I have, because you know what? China is in on our power grid. That is a matter of proven fact. If you want to have communications with your loved ones, your family, your children, maybe your spouse travels, maybe you have a child away at college, you want communication should the grid go down. That's why you need a satellite phone, worldviewtalk.com. But look what else they have. They also have solar generators. I have one of their solar generators. I have the Delta Echo 400, a solar generator. So I can, of course, charge my satellite phone. I can run my coffee pot. I can run my whole house if I want to. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com, or use that number, 1-866-738-3224. They have very friendly operators that will explain to you their products, but you can explain to them what it is you're desiring to acquire. How much electricity are you wanting to generate with this solar generator? Well, they'll tell you what size you need. Worldviewtalk.com or 1-866-738-3224. Joining me now is our reporter on the ground, Aharon Levarko. We could not get a hold of him during our live broadcast at 1 o'clock today. And we weren't able to get a hold of him for a few hours. It made us a little nervous because Israel came under quite a bit of attack today. But we did make contact with him finally. He was in a bunker celebrating Passover. He joins us now. Aharon, welcome. Glad you're with us. Glad you're safe. A lot of folks are texting and emailing and asking if we made contact with you, and we have. So glad you're all right. But you are underground. You're in a bunker observing Passover. Tell me about that before we get to the latest news out of Israel.
Yeah, great to be with you, Brandon. Happy Pesach, Passover. Good to be alive. What a day. It was crazy. Myself and a bus driver, we took a family down to the south to the Egyptian border. It's the only way in and out of Israel at the moment. And we had to stop about 6 times because of sirens going off. Really, we kind of expected, because it's Passover, we kind of expected that we were going to come under fire, and we sure did, all the way from the north to the south. So anyhow, we finally got back. It was about a 5-hour drive one way, 5-hour drive the other way. And then we celebrated Passover. But We expected that there was going to be trouble, so it was already planned that it would be in the bomb shelter. And sure enough, it was a good, safe place to do it. You know, there's a kind of a new culture growing. It's called bomb shelter culture. Why? Because people are getting to know their neighbors. People are getting to make new friends in the bomb shelters, hear people's stories. I was in a shopping mall the other day, and people were in their food court. When the sirens went off, everyone just left all their food on the table, went into the bomb shelters. When we got into the bomb shelters, you wouldn't believe some of the scenes. For example, there was one lady, she was in a clothing store, and she was trying on a dress, so she had to run into the bomb shelter with this new dress with the price tag on it. She's got no shoes on. It was quite funny. And then, of course, you've got mothers with babies in their arms. Quite a scene. Some people, they've already got set up music. They try to make fun for the children to take away some of the stress or the trauma. But anyway, tonight we celebrated Passover, and it was really quite special because, you know, Passover is all about release, freedom, liberation, and we're not quite there yet, but we're in the process of it. We're in the process of it happening, and we were just saying to each other, I wonder what the Iranian people are going, the Jewish Iranian community, which is only very small. I think it might be even as low as in the hundreds. We were saying, I wonder what they're going through right now, tonight, which is the night. You know, they're in Iran waiting to be liberated, waiting for their exodus, waiting for their deliverance. And I wonder what they're going through, and I wonder what they're going to be, how it's going to be for them to celebrate next year. So there was a lot to talk about, a lot of fun, but we were thanking God for the past. And of course, as Messianic believers, you know, we rejoiced how we have not only the physical exodus from Egypt, but how it was fulfilled, how we get the spiritual, the liberation from our sins, the forgiveness of our sins, and how in the same way the Israelites put blood on their doorposts, and when the angel of death saw the blood and passed over, how we by faith can receive the blood of the Lamb, Jesus, Yeshua, and how we go from being guilty before God to being forgiven from our sins and the promise of eternal life, freedom from bondage. So it was a great evening.
Amen. All right, you guys, though, have come under amazing attack in the last 24 hours. We have like 15 people or so injured. I think 11 or 12-year-old little girl is in serious condition. Tell us about this. You were getting attacked from two different directions, right?
Well, now the Houthis have joined in from Yemen. So the main two areas now are from the north. Hezbollah are still pounding us, and now the Houthis seem to be joined in. Very, very small amount at the moment. But listen, I read one report, Brendan, that they're planning on getting an army of 1 million soldiers. The Houthis. That was one article I read. I don't know how accurate that is, but time will tell. So we're on pretty high alert, but cities like, especially in the Dan region, the central region, Tel Aviv has taken a pounding, although lots of Iron Domes have been intercepting them. We were standing on the side of the road with the family. We heard massive booms. We saw the interceptions in the sky. Cities like Rosh Ayin, Rishon LeZion, and can't think of the others. But then in the north, other cities, Kiryat Shmona, have taken a pounding, buildings been destroyed, and yes, quite a number have been injured. I don't think so serious, but still, the numbers of injured are growing. And, yeah, it's not very nice to say the least. People are really getting worn down and tired of this, Brandon. Hopefully this will be over soon. The country, even though it's such a disturbance and it's so stressful, there's still a deep hope in the whole nation. And it wasn't a hope that we had after October the 7th. After October the 7th, those first few months, we were scrambling. We were in trauma. We were in shock. We didn't know what was going to happen. But this is different. We deep down, we know that our boys, our soldiers, our girls, they're fighting. These are our warriors. These are our heroes. They're out there fighting, guarding us, protecting us. And we're so thankful for them. So there is a lot of hope in the air.
Here's some good news. Here is some good news. Top Hezbollah commander killed in Beirut as IDF presses deeper into Lebanon. So that is some good news there, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. We are making big inroads into Lebanon. And as I said the other night, we have now taken over South Lebanon up to the Litani River, which is about 20 miles in. Now that gives a good buffer zone. And it keeps Hezbollah away a little bit away, and it helps protect the northern community, the cities up there on the border. So we are taking out these leaders, Brandon. How many more leaders do we need to take out? I don't know, but everyone counts, and everyone is part of the victory.
I was having a conversation today with a friend of mine who's Catholic, and I was quoting to him Genesis 15. I was explaining the difference between the Mosaic covenant and the Abrahamic covenant. I was talking about Romans 11, the Apostle Paul. This is the promises of God are irrevocable. I was talking about Ezekiel 37 prophecy, the dry bones coming together, the political revival. We've seen that. Now we're waiting on the spiritual revival as it talks about the breath of life. And I was trying to explain to my Catholic friend that you can't talk about these issues from the, quote, Protestant world and then say, oh, well, this is what you guys believe. Like what Paula White says or what John Hagee says or what Ted Cruz says. And I'm like, time out. Paula White, in my theological opinion, is a heretic. All right? She's a heretic. She's word of faith, heretic. I don't get my information from Paula White, and I don't have the same gospel as Paula White, and I don't think I even have the same eschatology in many regards as Paula White. When you get into the New Apostolic Reformation, a lot of these people into replacement theology, they just won't tell you that. When you talk about John Hagee, he is on record, okay? They tried to scrub it, I think, but he's on record talking about a different gospel for the Jews versus the Gentiles. I'm sure you know about that controversy, right?
Yes, I do.
And I'm going to try to find the video. But I've said, John Hagee does not represent, he's also word of faith, okay? He's taught a lot of word of faith stuff. He does not represent us. When I say us, I said there's a small group of us. When I say us, I mean me, Christian dispensationalists. There's a small group of us that are actually theologically sound. We're backing it all up with scripture. The problem is he was believing and confusing a lot of these people as being in the same camp with me. I'm like, no, they're the problem. These people are the problem. I believe Satan is using those people to muddy the waters, confuse the waters, and make the legitimate eschatology and theology come under great ridicule and attack. And his response was, because I was quoting so much scripture to him, he's like, well, you clearly know the Bible and these topics way better than I do. But I didn't realize, you are different like that than them. And he went into the temple and talked about the temple and how some of these people are talking about how it's our duty to help them rebuild the temple. I'm like, who said that? Okay, well, they're wrong. There's nothing in the Bible that says it's the duty of the Christians, per Genesis 12, verse 3, to help them rebuild the temple, okay? I am the temple of the living God. You're the temple of the living God if we're believers with the Holy Spirit residing in us. I said, I'm only watching what's happening because it is a mile marker to me of where we are at on the highway toward Bible prophecy being fulfilled. It's a mile marker for stage setting. All right. I said, there's no legitimate Christian dispensationalist coming from the likes of Charles Ryrie, John Wolford, Henry Morris, I already said Charles Ryrie, Robert L. Thomas. I can go down the list of people that I respect from a dispensational standpoint. None of them believed we as Christians had to help or that we had to be in part of rebuilding the temple or sending our boys off to war to die in Israel to rebuild the temple. I said, anyone saying this is being used by Satan to actually, I think, undermine and set up real conservative, Bible-believing, sound, theological Christians for hatred. He was completely unaware. He's like, well, you're the only one I know saying, no, our job's not to build the temple. No, that's not what we're called to do. I said, well, this is the problem. I'm spending so much of my time talking to well-known people. And if I said the names of some of these people, you'd know them. And I'm trying to convince well-known leaders in the conservative world, do not go out there and join the Tucker Carlsons and the rest of these people criticizing all these Christians, because you are alienating a good portion of people that will agree with you and follow you on these other issues, because you're not understanding the issues and you're throwing them all in the same camp. It'd be like me accusing all Catholics of being a part of the Jesuit conspiracy or the Jesuit counter-reformation. There's a lot of Catholics that don't even know what the Jesuits were up to, right? They don't even care. They don't know much about it. There's a lot of Catholics that didn't care for Pope Francis at all, right? So I said, I don't throw all you guys in the same bucket. Why do you throw us all in the same bucket? And I said, understand. And he wanted to say about the people of Israel today. Are they the Israel of Israel of today? Is that what was the Israel of the Bible? I said, well, wait a minute. The DNA is there. And he wanted to talk about Benjamin Netanyahu. Well, he's not even from there. But the reality is, you can still be a Jew and not born in Israel. You're Jewish. You were born in New Zealand, right? Or Australia, right?
New Zealand.
Australia, New Zealand. So I'm like, it's a DNA issue. And the Bible says that God's going to get the Jews back into the land. He's going to find those. He doesn't have to find them. He knows where they are. They're going to be the revealing of the 12 tribes of Israel that become a part of those Levite priests, those 144,000. This isn't a mystery to God. Right. And I said, what you need to understand is the only thing where I would agree with you is as far as, are the Jews of the Bible time the Jews of today? Well, no, they died. But are there Jews still today that are from the line? Yeah. But is that what we're talking about? I said, we have to define what we're talking about. There are Jews that are of the synagogue of Satan. The Lord himself says that twice in the first couple chapters of Revelation. Jews that are blaspheming God. They're attacking the Jews who become believers in Yeshua, our Messiah, right? Just as there are bad Gentiles, there are some bad Jews. But you don't castigate everybody. I said, but are we looking for everyone that is alive today in Israel? Are those the ones that we are told about and they're prophesied about? I don't know. I don't know the time window we're in. It could be. And they're just still in unbelief. But those very people that are alive today in unbelief may, over the next few months or a year or two or 3 or 4, depending on the window we're in, become believers. We don't know. If it's 10 years off, 15, 20 years off, those people may die and be gone. Maybe their children's children. We don't know. But I said, what you have to understand is what we are talking about here is their right to the land. Their right to not be eradicated, okay? Their right for political revival, which was acknowledged in 48. Although they were a people scattered, they were a nation that was scattered, they came together and were recognized internationally in 48, the political. Now we're waiting on the spiritual. So I said, what you need to understand is when we talk about what God is going to do with the Jews, that is the redeemed of Israel, okay? That is the redeemed Jews. Now, whether they're alive today and waiting to become believers, we don't know what time period we're in. But what we're talking about isn't every Jew on the planet. I said, but they will have to obey the Mosaic covenant, which is separate from the Abrahamic covenant. That cannot be canceled. But the Mosaic covenant must be kept for them to receive the land covenant of Genesis 15. And that will be the revived. And all we're doing is trying to stop Satan with anti-Semitism, rising and wiping out every Jew so we don't ever have a redeemed of Israel. And then he said, well, what about the Greater Israel Project? Clearly, Benjamin Netanyahu is for that. I said, where do you get that? Where has he ever announced he's for the Greater Israel Project? The only way they're taking land and have in the past and will in the future, as they're doing right now with Lebanon, is when they get attacked, then they take land as they're advancing and defending themselves, and then they use it as a buffer. But they didn't say, hey, let's go attack Lebanon and use that to grab their land. They were attacked. They went in defensive mode, and now they've grabbed land, and they're going to hold it as a buffer. If they had never been attacked, they wouldn't even be using that as a buffer. That's not on their roadmap. The Greater Israel Project, as you guys call it, is not going to happen till the millennial kingdom. Now, all of this was blowing his mind because he said, look, I only understand this through Catholic theology and eschatology. And I said, look, there are a lot of things that people believe, and the New Apostolic Reformation crowd in the Protestant world, the Reconstructionist, the Dominionist. There's plenty of bad theology and heresy in the Protestant world, okay? And you also have it in your Catholic world. I said, can we agree to do one thing and one thing only? Let's go to the Bible and set aside, this is what my church teaches or your church teaches or what, and let's go simply to the Bible. And this whole conversation I've been having with you has been simply on the Bible. But I had to build the case, quote the scripture. And what I finally got, well, you know what I got? You could see the body language. He surrendered because he realized, he said, you clearly are more studied in this and you really know the Bible on this. I really don't know that. I come from a Catholic arena. Now, I'm not saying that to boast or brag because I had to study and I'll have a lot more to learn. But what I'm learning is most of these people, they are assuming things about us as Christians that are coming from my theological and eschatological standpoint. They're assuming things about Israel that is what people have told them, or it's their church theology and eschatology. It is not backed up in reality, a practice of what's going on in Israel, what your plans are, and it's not backed up in the scripture. And the guy said, I'm so glad we had this conversation. I did not realize how different you are from all those other people. He said, why are you not being interviewed on all these other places to explain what it is you guys really believe? I said, well, hello, they can call me anytime they want. And I said, and I get no money from the Israeli government. I get no money from AIPAC. You would think by now they would say, if there's a guy's organization we ought to invest in, it's him, because this guy knows the Bible with his other team members, and they're actually presenting facts that knock down all this anti-Semitism, and he's doing it for us from the Bible. But nope, they don't offer me one red dime, but I'm going to keep doing it. What do you make of this, what I've been telling you?
Well, firstly, what a great story. Thank you for sharing that. But secondly, you know, the thing that really stood out was the humility of the guy. Yeah. The humility. You know, he just said, I don't know. And that's what hit me. And I would say to any viewer listening, it's okay not to know something from the Bible. We're all students. We all start at one place. So we're all on a journey of discovering God, discovering ourselves, and discovering God's word and discovering creation. So if we don't know, we don't know, and that's okay. You know, we need to put aside our ego and look in the Bible. And like you said, not get by assumptions or on what the Protestant or the Catholic Church believes. But we need to study ourselves. Like Paul said to Timothy, study thyself, study thy word to show thyself approved unto God. So, you know what? Hearing that testimony, Brandon, man, I wish the same thing happened to me, because I had the exact opposite happen over the last few days. I'm not going to go into detail except to say someone was the exact opposite. He knew everything. He took a stand. He said to me, this land is no longer for Israel. Whoever lives here, it's theirs. God has got no future plan. This guy did know the Bible a lot, but you know what he did? He spiritualized everything. All of the Old Testament prophecies, he said, are for the church. They are spiritually fulfilled in the Messiah. And I said to him, how can you spiritually interpret the teachings that Jesus said, I will return, and I will return to Jerusalem? The angel said, this same Jesus which has gone up into heaven will come in like manner. That was in Jerusalem. He said, no, he's not coming back to Jerusalem. And I was like, every single person in the group, who, by the way, were his family, they told me after that this is a big problem, not only in the family, but in the church. So listening to your story, I mean, I'm so glad this guy had a willing heart, a humble heart, good soil there. And whereas I had the opposite, but I love that story. Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you. And he did believe that the land of Israel, he said there is no such thing as a chosen people anymore. He said, we all come to Christ the same way. There is no longer a chosen people anymore. I said, well, you're wrong. They are chosen for a specific plan and it will be played out. And it will be played out particularly during the time of Jacob's trouble. And these people are going to be used once the church is removed in a special way to evangelize the world with the 144,000 Jewish evangelists representing the 12 tribes. And I wanted to explain some of this, but he kept trying to say that there is no chosen people today. I said, well, I'm sorry. The Bible says they are chosen. He could choose whoever he wanted. He chose to use them the same way he chooses to do as he wills, but I try to convince him, no, they are chosen for a specific plan and program. Yes. And he wanted to keep merging the church and Israel. I said, no, they're two separate entities, and they're represented in the new heavens and the new earth when Jerusalem comes down out of heaven and sits on the earth, and the 12 gates made up of one pearl. The 12 gates are the names of the Jewish tribes. And then the foundation are the names of the apostles. And it's immortalized through eternity. God's program for the church, the apostles who laid down the foundational doctrine of the church, and the Jewish people, the 12 apostles, the Jewish apostles, all of them that wrote the Bible, by the way, the authors of the Bible were Jewish, except for Luke. And I said, and do you realize they gave us the foundational doctrine of the church? Of course, this is blowing his mind. He's never heard this. He's never heard this.
Good, yeah. Well, I try to turn people to Romans 9, 10, 11. Just say, hey, go and read that.
Well, I quoted Romans 11 to him, and that seemed to shock him. Good. Well, the other thing I say, Brannon, I say, when it comes to individual salvation, there's no other name under heaven whereby we must be saved. It's through Jesus, through Yeshua. That's on an individual basis. But let's put that aside for a second. That's agreed. On an individual basis, it's through Jesus. But let's see what God says about national salvation. Is there anywhere in the scriptures that talks about a people one day all being saved? Yes. God promises in his word that there's going to be a national salvation for the Jewish people. Romans chapter 11, verses 25 to 28. He says, for now that people have been blinded until God has finished with the Gentiles, then it's going to happen. It says all Israel will be saved. It's clear. And so how can one say there isn't a chosen people with a chosen plan?
Yeah, it's almost like they're afraid that by saying that they're almost like demoting the church. You know,
well, if you believe that the church, the Catholic Church, is the one and only church that is superseded everything else, it would be competition for them, right?
I never thought about that. Yes, exactly.
Of course, they don't like the idea of that. I would guess the fact that we believe that there are no other special prophets or apostles today, right? Just as they promote that with Protestants today, they basically are saying you have these popes and these cardinals, and they're operating in a function, where they're getting revelation and make prayers for you and all kinds of things that really is wrong on their Catholic side as it is on the Word of Faith, New Apostolic side. You're giving authority and job descriptions to people that aren't in the Bible anymore. This is not a continuous office.
Yes.
Yeah. These are fascinating conversations that we need to have, because what I'm finding, Aaron, is a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about the Jews, about Israel, about what you guys are doing. And they have a lot of misconceptions about people like me and you and others. Let me just play this real quick of John Hagee, because I said, don't judge me by John Hagee. John Hagee does believe Jews don't have to believe in Jesus. Do not paint me with that brush. Here's what I was referring to. Watch and listen to this.
I'm delighted to present my latest book, In Defense of Israel. This book will expose the sins of the fathers and the vicious abuse of the Jewish people. In Defense of Israel will shake Christian theology. It scripturally proves that the Jewish people as a whole did not reject Jesus as Messiah. It will also prove that Jesus did not come to earth to be the Messiah. It will prove that there was a Calvary conspiracy between Rome, the high priest, and Herod to execute Jesus as an insurrectionist too dangerous to live. Since Jesus refused by word and deed to claim to be the Messiah, how can the Jews be blamed for rejecting what was never offered? Read it in this shocking expose, In Defense of Israel.
Without a wow.
Brandon, he said, how could the Jews be blamed for rejecting something that was never offered? What's he talking about?
Exactly. What is he talking about?
What's he talking about? They were offered the salvation.
He said,
Yeshua said, "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how I long to gather you, but you would not."
Oh, thank you. So don't judge us by John Hagee, right?
I'm surprised, Brandon, because I don't want to demonize John Hagee, because he's got a lot of good things to say, and he does a lot of good things for Israel on a political...
That's right, on a political basis, yep.
And on a solidarity basis. He does a lot of good. So I don't want to demonize him, but when it comes to that kind of teaching, that's not right. That's off, that's heretical, that's not scriptural. And I'm but shocked, and I have heard that before, yes.
Yeah. Well, we got to be Bereans, and that's what we're trying to do. Aharon Levarko, lighttothenationsministry.com. We're glad you're okay, Aaron. A lot of people worried about you. Glad you're okay. Lighttothenationsministry.com. He's brought to you by our foundation, folks. If you appreciate all we're doing, we appreciate your support as we give him regular love offerings. Worldviewfoundation.com. We'll be right back.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed. That's our broadcast for tonight. As always, we sure appreciate your support. What a long broadcast day this has been, folks. Well, we've had a presidential address. We've had a space launch. We've had the president going to the Supreme Court today. First time a sitting president's ever done that. To hear a case, we're told. It's been a busy day. We've gotten a report out of Israel. We got to see, as I said, the space launch and get great analysis from Jason Pratt. So again, we have a lot to be thankful for in our broadcast schedule today. And we're glad you've been here, a part of it, with all our very special broadcast partners. As always, I want to remind you as we get ready to close here, go to worldviewfoundation.com. Remember, we are looking for regular monthly contributors, even $10 a month, $15, $20 a month. It does make a difference. Roll the music. Let's call it a night. You can do that. Set up an automatic contribution right there at worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. You can use credit card, PayPal, mail, or phone. But we love the idea of automatically setting up a contribution because life gets busy. You forget, and we need your support. We cannot afford to have people forget. So set up an automatic contribution once you at worldviewfoundation.com. All right, thanks again for watching and for praying for us and promoting us. Till next time, I'm Brandon House. May God save America. Take care. That's how you do it, dog.